Hey Dumpster Dwellers, just want to give you a heads up about today's episode. We've got a guest friend of the show, Arlen Harrow, on today, and his audio seemed to have gotten a little corrupted, so you might hear a little bit of popping and words kind of merging into each other and him kind of sounding a little stilted. Other than that, we hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Movie Dumpster Season 2, Episode 25. This is the last bomb to be dropped for our Blockbuster Bombs, and today we got Green Lantern from 2011, directed by Martin Campbell. I'm Joel Scola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
I'm Connor One Punch McGraw.
I'm Arlen. I'm actually here, Harrow.
In brightest day, in blackest night.
No evil shall escape my sight.
Let those who worship evil's might
beware my power.
Green Lantern's light.
I, Hal Jordan, do solemnly swear to pledge allegiance to a lantern that I got from a dying purple alien in a swamp.
Oh boy.
So yeah, here we are.
So the fucking streams have finally crossed.
Yep.
In terms of bringing someone from Phantom Zone over here. And I've invoked his name enough to the point where now he just appeared.
Two TARDISes landed inside of each other, and yeah, we're here.
And you didn't even have to invoke Smallville.
No, we could have gone a whole episode, me and Arlen, without hearing about Smallville.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep that shit. You heard it first.
Lou is gonna come out of a vent or something. He's
We're on season 5.
Out of how many?
10.
Yep.
Oh my god, that show was on for too long. And I still can't believe that guy didn't get to wear the fucking suit in any of the movies.
Do you think he he has nightmares about that, you think?
Well, then he came back to play the Atom, so I guess he still made some kind of bank.
Good for him? Question mark.
Oh no, that was Brandon Routh who came back to play the Atom.
Oh, was it? It wasn't
Not even the same guy.
Well, Tom Welling was the one from Smallville, and then he is basically kind of like hovered around productions but never been involved in one.
Okay.
So everyone's like, this is it, he's gonna come back as Superman, and he didn't.
Because he thinks it's silly.
Fucking A.
Arlen, welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome to the show, the lovely Arlen Harrow. You know, I have a question for you. Are you actually Columbo?
I believe he is.
Yeah, if you ask Connor, if you see an actual picture of my face, it is just replaced by Peter Falk.
I have blocked out his face from my head and just replaced it with a picture of Peter Falk.
I was talking about this to Sean before, and I was like, I have no fucking idea what Arlen looks like. All I know is that I think he's Columbo.
He's like Slender Man. It's just a blank face.
Right.
Creeping around the woods.
Like, pictures of him have popped up on social media, and I'd be like, no! And I close the page real fast.
You say, hey, Joe, how are you? How you doing? Okay, I'm gonna go solve a fucking mystery now.
I'm gonna go read you a book, okay?
You see, how did you know the book was there? I mean, I can't figure it out. How, if the book was there, now it's there, how did you know? I mean, that's my bad Peter Falk impression.
Perfect.
Yeah. I don't know. I just picked Peter Falk, basically. That was it. Like, I was like, this is who I am on the internet now. So, yeah.
You just spin that fucking roulette wheel, and there he was.
Mm-hmm. Vodka causes a lot of bad decisions. So, yeah.
Dude, aren't you drinking vodka every time I catch you watching some weird-ass movie at night, too?
Yes.
Probably finished a bottle watching this movie.
Oh, I could have.
I fought the urge.
At least a handle.
At least a handle?
I had an almost finished bottle of blackberry brandy on top of my fridge, and I almost reached for it. I showed some restraint.
Ooh.
I was looking for the Tenafly by the time this film was over.
Melt my fucking face off, please.
I wanted the battery acid that Burt Ware was trying to pour down Jay Moore's throat.
I was just contemplating self-harm by the third act. I was like, what if I just hit my head against the window? How would it feel?
So the Phantom Zone.
Yes, let's discuss the Phantom Zone.
We've brought it up a bunch on the show in the past, but what is the Phantom Zone for those that don't know, Connor or Alan, or maybe a combination of both?
Oh, good question.
Phantom Zone is a experiment in chaos that has gone on for almost 4 years. That started as a pitch to review all of the DCCW TV shows and our buddy Chris pitched it. He's actually the creator of the show, but if you ask him that, he's like, nah, I didn't do that.
He's the proverbial man behind the curtain.
Yes, and all of us kind of just said, yeah, sure, we'll do it. And then we took on this Herculean task of watching 4 to 6 hours of TV a week and then having to talk about it. And then 2 years later, we realized that was a torturous idea.
I have to commend you on that at the beginning, because goddamn, that is a lot of work.
Started off really fun, but then like by Flash season 3, like we were fucking feeling it, because that season is just bad television. And when you're essentially stuck with it until it's over, and it's got mid-season breaks, and sometimes it takes a week off here and there, and you're just waiting for this fucking thing to end, it was brutal. It was awful.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and that developed into, well, we don't want to have a week where we're not putting out anything, where there's just like nothing for people to listen to. So we just started coming up with other formats and other ideas, and
Sure.
some of them really grew on us as we did them, and we began to like those more. So we're maybe moving towards some of those other formats as our main shows, really. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we review stuff less and less. I think we're going to finish up Legion Season 3 eventually, and then pretty much, I think, cover Crisis on Infinite Earths this fall, and then just kind of only cover TV when we feel like it.
Now, Crisis on Infinite Earths, I haven't read in a while. Is that the one with Superboy Prime, or is that the one with old Superman and current Superman? Well, I guess a better way to put that is it the one when the Flash dies?
Yes.
Okay.
As it's told in that book, me and Kai, I think we're both on the same page. Which character dies will probably be very different based off of the universe that they've established so far. I think they're going for very Avengers Endgame type ending based off of everything that we've seen.
So the Arrow's eating it, is that what you're telling me?
Probably. Well, also, Arrow is ending, so it's a perfect time to make his exit in a big old crossover event.
Yeah.
And I guess Flash is getting, what, a 4th or 5th season? I'm starting to see it advertised.
Yeah.
Flash is getting a 6th season.
Oh my god. I guess, did it get good again?
Yes, it improved last season, because they everyone got mad about speedsters. Everyone was like, stop doing evil speedsters, bah! And then they tried doing a non-speedster villain, and we're like, this is the dumbest fucking thing we've had to sit through since the last season.
It's kind of like what Green Lantern did in the comics, when it was like, why is Green Lantern fighting anything but other people that have similar powers? Because they wouldn't be a fight against him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they opted for a villain called the Thinker, whose entire gimmick is that he's intelligent, he's hyper intelligent, he's always 2 steps ahead of everybody, 4 steps ahead, 5 steps ahead. But then the longer that season went on, the less anything surrounding the villain who thinks.
We're not going to turn this into a Phantom Zone episode right here, but what happens is that the character is supposed to be very smart. He started taking over other bodies and like body swapping, and the actors that they would pick to play this character going forward, they were the dumbest people that have ever walked the earth. Some of them.
They all got exponentially worse.
It was bad.
I don't fucking need that.
Versus the guy who started it, who's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's clearly brilliant, and he's good at presenting a very intelligent character, Hannibal Lecter-esque in all the best ways. But it was a sharp downhill from there. So
yeah, it just got worse and worse, and by the end of it, like he's defeated by someone unplugging him.
Oh my god.
What is this? What's his face from Zolan?
Zola?
Zola, yeah.
Yeah.
You'll never defeat me, Captain America.
Oh no, not my power cord.
Good night, fucker.
Yeah, he downloads himself into an AI, and then his ex-wife goes up and pulls the power supply out, and he just dies. I'm like, that's it? You pulled his plug out?
Yeah, he's got a backup in a Tamagotchi somewhere in a drawer.
I'm sure he'll Ultron his way back into something at some point. But yeah, we've been covering Legion. We do kind of what Shadow Zone eventually morphed into, which is a show called the 3 AM Files, where we're all presenting with either conspiracy theories or weird shit, monsters, ghosts, paranormal stuff.
Oh, I like that. I want to listen to that.
I mean, you can be on if you want.
Everybody's like, yeah, you could be on the show, Joe. And I'm like, okay. And then I never get a fucking email or an invite or a phone call.
Our timing has not been great, I'll say that.
And After Dark is where we just kind of either do off-kilter movie reviews, like we did Mandy for an After Dark.
I listen to that one.
Or usually we do news or just nonsense. And the nonsense is where some of our best bits come from.
And on this show, we're doing something that kind of like, I want to say like 2 trains colliding, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this fucking pile of shit brought 4 people together. And one of them has no idea the depths of why this is so shitty, and the other 3 do.
Jesus. Nice. We're like the Losers Club going to fight Pennywise. Fate brought us together.
Joe, your reaction I thought was either going to be completely perplexed or bored. And you walked in, you went, this movie's fucking boring. I was like, huzzah!
Yeah, here's the thing. Okay, so everybody here is well educated in the Green Lantern mythos, and I myself am not. I know who Hal Jordan is. I know who Sinestro is. I know what a Green Lantern. I know what a Green Lantern is and does and how it works and shit like that. But as far as the comics books, I'm just not a DC guy, period. I just never read anything. I don't know anything beyond that as far as, Hal Jordan's backstory or what the fuck a parallax is or any of that horse shit.
The movie's unforgivable sin.
What I do know or what's insinuated through this is that there's a whole lot of fucking... let's try to cram as many different fucking arcs in here as we possibly can.
Yeah. It's the problem I had with this movie when I saw it in theaters, and it's the problem I have now.
Yeah, and I feel like, and again, like, my position on this episode is going to be purely semi-average moviegoer, spectator for this film. Again, like, I don't know. When I say that it has all these arcs running together, it's because that's what it fucking feels like when I'm watching it. So, like, I don't know any comic book arcs, but, like, it just feels like we're going from one motherfucking thing to the next, and it's just kind of bleh.
And because this movie opens with what parallax supposedly is for this interpretation,
sure,
that's pretty much where we can start to fucking pick the movie apart and explain exactly why it's, like... If you went as a casual moviegoer, I imagine you'd be bored. If you went as a Green Lantern fan, I'm sure you were outraged.
I got questions. But yeah, mostly I just wanted to fall asleep. And that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's not exciting enough to warrant much of anything, and then if you're there for the comic book mythos, you're like, you fucked up everything.
Oh, God.
Yep.
I'll tell you what I'm here for, Taika Waititi. That's what I'm here for, because he was great.
That caught me so off guard, I forgot he was there.
Yeah. He made me laugh. Every time he popped up, he made me laugh.
Just his face alone does it. It does it for me.
Back in the day, I was a huge fucking mark for Green Lantern. It's my favorite comic book series of all time.
That is a bold statement.
I pretty much read everything from Rebirth, which I think was like 2004, 2005, all the way up till, past Brightest fucking Day. So I did Blackest Night, Agent Orange, Attack of the Red Lantern, Sinestro Corp War, and then I even read it, the New 52 when they fucking gave Sinestro the green ring back, and then it kind of all culminated at the end against one of the original Guardians that appears in this film. I love Green Lantern. And this movie is just a fucking punch in the gut, man.
I would agree. And, like, Green Lantern's not one of my favorites, but I do have a lot of respect for that section of DC because I love cosmic DC stuff because it's all just so fucking weird and awesome.
Sure.
And I knew who Parallax was because I know that story very well. And I went into this and I was like, oh, you goofed this.
Oh, yeah, big time. So, essentially, this is a movie about the first Green Lantern on Earth, Hal Jordan, played by Ryan Reynolds. And, the Green Lanterns are essentially this intergalactic peacekeeping organization, and there's 3,600 of them, each one from a different sector of the galaxy that these blue alien things called the Guardians have designated as heroes to protect said sectors. And they give them these things called green power rings, and they use the power of willpower to fight, essentially. And Hal Jordan goes through this movie in the span of, it feels like days, traveling to their home planet, coming back to Earth, traveling back to their home planet, back to Earth, all in the pursuit of stopping something he doesn't fully understand, while also something that really bothered the shit out of me, a character in the comics that is known for not being afraid of anything. Ryan Reynolds is scared out of his mind for most of this film.
Yeah, but it all hinges upon some bullshit that I think you need to watch the extended edition for.
Maybe.
Okay. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. I didn't realize I was watching the extended version, and I did. Did everybody watch the same one?
I watched the one that was 2 hours long.
The one I watched has him at the beginning, and his dad dies. Is that pretty close? Okay.
It's about an hour 50 movie, and then I think it goes a little bit over 2 when you get the extended. And there's a few more scenes with, I think, Sinestro and with the character Carol.
Who could give a shit about that character? Is she big in the comics?
Carol. She's huge. She's like a major character.
Okay. She's fucking trash in this movie.
There's a lot of stuff in this movie that is like, they'll mention it, and if you know DC well enough, you go, that's important.
Yeah.
And then in this movie, it's like, whatever, and they just cast it aside.
As somebody just looking in from the outside, she was just there. She was just like a basic fucking love interest that I did not need. And I was like, why are we dicking around with this? Like, he's supposed to be like learning his powers and shit.
Right. No, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of wasted energy in this movie on things that don't need to be here and maybe could have waited for another movie.
Oh, we couldn't wait.
Or 2 movies or something. Like,
Mark Strong's the only one that really came out of this looking good.
Mark Strong, I was like, oh my God, this guy fucking rules.
Yeah.
I don't even know Sinestro. I don't even know what he's supposed to do or his backstory. But he was fucking great. He's the best part of this movie, easy.
So Sinestro in the comics that I kind of hinted at a little bit, he is like he's Green Lantern's like oldest enemy, and he always had this yellow power ring, and the Green Lantern's weakness, was the color yellow for years and years and years. And then Geoff Johns came in the early 2000s and was like, that's fucking stupid. And he came up with the idea, or at least expanded on the idea. I'm sure a few people prior to this had the idea that, the yellow is actually being powered by fear. And like in the, late 90s, Arlen or Connor, either you can jump out and help me out here, but Death of Superman kind of kicked this all off.
Really?
That's early 90s.
yes, because it was the reign of the Supermen that had an effect on what Green Lantern would eventually go and do shortly afterwards. Because after Superman died, there was the Eradicator, Cyborg Superman, there was Superboy, and who was the 4th?
Steel, from our favorite episode that we ever did.
Yeah.
With a sidekick who's a woman in a wheelchair with rockets.
Granny Van Dam?
Oh god, it's a prequel.
I'm armed now. Forget shotguns.
I've got your rockets right here. Where's Shaquille O'Neal?
So after Death of Superman, during that event, Mongol is essentially the main bad guy by the end of it. And he destroys Coast City.
All of it, which is where Hal's from.
And he basically goes insane and becomes this entity known as Parallax. And this was kind of DC's way of writing him out of the fucking comics and replacing him with a different character named Kyle Rayner, whose girlfriend was the one that got fridged in that like famous storyline.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's how many different parallaxes?
There is only one.
Yes.
Okay.
So the short version of this, just to kind of get moving, is eventually there ends up being 4 human Green Lanterns. The other 2 are John Stewart, who is in the Justice League animated series, and he's probably, I'd have to say, maybe the second most well-known.
Yes.
And then there's Guy Gardner, who is a fucking badass. He's kind of like the salty, like, sarcastic guy that just always wants to get into a fucking fight.
And that's who my opening line is referencing.
Yes. He is like the 4th guy, and he was actually in Death of Superman. He was in the Justice League at the time, and he got his fucking ass kicked by Doomsday.
He kicked everybody's ass.
So then eventually Geoff Johns says, okay, we're going to retcon this. We're going to bring back Hal Jordan. And then he actually was the same guy that went back and brought back Barry Allen later on.
Yes.
For Flashpoint. He brings back Hal Jordan and says, no, Parallax was not Hal Jordan. He was taken over by the fear entity known as Parallax that was living inside the fucking Guardians central power battery, and when Sinestro was imprisoned in there at some point, he communicated with it and caused it to make Hal Jordan go crazy and kill all these fucking people and destroy the Green Lantern Corps.
It's less of a giant space squid, and more of a parasitic entity which feeds on your fear and insecurities and needs a host body.
Exactly.
It looks like when you light one of those little fucking firecracker things and it shits all over the place.
Yeah.
Whatever they're called, the fucking shitters, the cattails.
The snakes?
Yeah, the snakes. Yeah, like a firecracker snake thing.
Well, you know what's the pisser about that? I was watching a behind-the-scenes video on the effects of how that character is made, and it was supposed to look like fucking like rolling skeletons, like just a fucking tidal wave of death coming at you, and they couldn't get it to look good with the lighting.
So they're like, oh, you know what? Let's just make it look like shit.
That sounds much better, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Literal poop.
But just to finish just to totally answer your question, Joe, before we move on, then Geoff Johns, throughout the storyline that he was writing, fleshed it out. And it wasn't just green and yellow. They had orange, which was Avarice.
I was going to say, what are all the other colors? I know there's like a Black Lantern and shit like that.
Yeah, they had Star Sapphire, which Carol in this movie, her nickname is Sapphire. She is the Star Sapphire.
Oh, okay.
And she was originally a villain like back in the day, but in Geoff Johns' story, she had her own team of Star Sapphires. And they use like the power of love, I think.
What are they, like the Captain Planet's Planeteers? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, man, like straight up. And then they had, Avarice, it was just one dude. It's this fucking ape-looking guy, Larfleeze, and he just had fucking constructs. He could make thousands of them of different people that he killed, essentially.
Yeah, and then red is Rage.
Atrocitus, who was in Injustice 2, I believe.
And he comes with his fucking cat.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I forget the name of the cat, but the cat's awesome.
I also am blanking the cat's name, but yeah, there's a cat who is a Red Lantern. He hangs out with Atrocitus, and that cat is terrifying.
There's a fucking bee lantern in this? A bee Green Lantern?
That's from the comic, man. It's a fly.
I was like, I want to know what that fucking guy's story is.
And then just to round it out, there's also Indigo, which is like compassion, and then the final one is Blue, which was hope. And their saying was always, all will be well. And it's like every time that happened in the comic, I'd fucking cheer.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then I guess they had black and white for Brightest Day and Blackest Night, but they're less important.
Yeah, they're like event-based, I would suppose you could call them. Like, because the Black Lanterns, their aspect is death, and they went around resurrecting a fuck ton of people and basically into their service.
They're like the Collectors Club exclusive rings, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You got it. Even fucking Lex Luthor got one at one point.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we fucking open up this motherfucker with Jeffrey Rush rambling on about the fucking emerald energy and shit.
Hello, I'm a fish.
Tomar Ray.
You ever see me in Pirates of the Caribbean? And I'm like, yes, I'd rather be watching that right now. So Jeffrey's talking about, there's 3,600 or 3,000. They make a point to say 3,600, not 3,600.
Yeah, I thought that was strange.
And they keep saying this over and over again. And I'm like, are we supposed to be keeping count? Because, like, a bunch of them die in this movie.
Right, yeah.
So now it's only, 3,500.
But we won't bore you with those details of those events. We'll just say it happened and not show it.
It was just an odd thing.
Well, technically, the ring just travels to a new person, so I guess they don't have a lot of downtime.
Okay, so there has to be 3,600 at any given time? Is that what the idea is?
Yeah, and I want to say there were storylines involving where that, wasn't working, and then they had to investigate why it wasn't working, and it was always some kind of, wacky fucking scheme by either the Guardians or Sinestro.
Gotcha. So Jeffrey Rush has given us the rundown just about the Green Lantern and, where the power comes from and these elder gods, or they're not gods, they're, elder beings called the Guardians who, watch over the galaxy or some shit. And they're like, hey, you know what? The galaxy needs protectors, so let's fucking use the will of the entire universe and encapsulate it in a fucking lantern and give it to all these individuals that are true of heart and aren't scared of anything or something. And then everybody except a human. How many different races are there that have a fucking lantern, and they're like,
yeah, I know,
and fuck the human race or whatever, and they're like, we've been doing this for centuries, thousands of eons have gone by.
I feel like that's their excuse to be like, hey, we didn't make any more of these superhero films, so we gotta make an excuse why nobody else shows up when the Green Lantern gets picked on Earth.
Oh, you know what? And then they do make a point to say, oh, well, the humans are so young. They're the youngest race in the universe.
That's kind of a thing in both Marvel and DC, though. It's usually
Sure.
the Earth will get stumbled upon by some fucking hyper-advanced, important other race or group, and they're like, oh, you guys are still doing all this. That's adorable.
There's always an object that somehow makes its way to Earth, and they're like, well, we gotta destroy it now, so hand it over.
Or 3 Infinity Stones wind up on a planet with people who don't know what to do with them.
Exactly. Don't even know what they are.
Yeah.
So they actually show Parallax because they explain that one of the Guardians
That's right.
And he looks funny.
they found this yellow energy, and if you haven't seen the movie or you haven't read the comics, essentially the Guardians they're these fucking guys that have just these giant blue heads
They look like the Watchers.
with kind of these wisps of hair and long red robes. And this guy, I swear to God, any fucking DC fan out there, this is Chrono, the first fucking Guardian. He was one of the people that fucking found the anti-monitor, if I remember correctly, originally.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Because I was pretty confident it was Krona, and then I watched a behind-the-scenes video on how they did Parallax's effects, like I was talking about, and the effects guy kept referring to it as Krona's head. Krona's head keeps poking out.
So it's canon.
That's interesting. They used him as the Parallax stand-in. It's really bizarre.
But don't ever call him that.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into I was talking to Arlen earlier about, like, the semantics of Parallax and how it works this movie and how it's, like, a complete mess, aside from not being accurate from the comic, because it goes in too many different directions.
Yeah. Doesn't know what it wants to be.
They have him imprisoned in this outer rim kind of thing.
They have him in prison on this planet Ryu in the Lost Sector, which, again, I'm just going to keep bringing out the fucking trivia because I had to refresh my memory before this episode. The Lost Sector in the comics was Sector 666, which is where Atrocitus was from.
Yeah.
And it was like basically the Lost Sector because these fucking androids that the Guardians made a millennia ago went crazy and just fucking wiped everybody out. And then they tried covering it up.
we don't go there anymore.
Starting to see a pattern here.
I think they're called like the Manhunters or some shit.
The Martian Manhunters?
Yeah, I wish.
No, just the Manhunters, because that's how naming works in the DC verse.
Yeah.
Because fuck you, stupid.
But just a final note on that, it is also the same planet that the Anti-Monitor's corpse was thrown into, and then the fucking Black Lantern, what am I trying to say here? The core Black Lantern fucking grew out of that.
So this is the warehouse from Indiana Jones, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Basically.
Fucking nailed it.
And remember when I made that comment in the Rain of Fire episode when I was like, you know, in there's going to be some humanoid race or some alien motherfuckers, and there's always going to be that one asshole drinking a Budweiser and smoking a cigarette that unleashes something awful.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, Benny.
And just fucking, yeah, Benny.
Screw you, Benny!
This is alien Benny breaking into fucking Parallax's dungeon.
Well, they don't even break in. They fall in by accident.
What are they doing there?
I think they crash. There's a subtitle that says, like, we crash landed on some planet and blah, 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 blah.
Fucking Morden Solus looking for shells.
Yeah, but then, like, they're walking along the surface of this planet, and they they step on just this weak part of the ground, and they fall into a fucking cave. Boom! Hi, Parallax, you're just sitting there.
And he's awake? Why isn't his face covered in this green shit? And he's like, oh, you're scared? Give me your fear shit.
You're scared. Good.
Is that a thing in the comics? So he's like, oh, I smell your fear. Give me your yellow skeleton.
It doesn't really work that way. I mean...
No, it's more like, it's, because in this movie, they use fear as a very, like, just broad term for, like, oh man, that's bad, it's fear.
I'm scared.
In the comics, like, I've always interpreted as, like, it's like how the dark side influences you. It's like, it's your insecurities, it's all kinds of stuff like that. It's,
right,
you know,
sure.
inner anxieties, it's your worst fears come to life, all kinds of stuff like that. And, like, that seems to be how it always would influence you. But this movie, it's like, I'm gonna swallow your soul.
Well, it's like Parallax. He was just basically like the embodiment of fear, and he was essentially like the entity associated with the fear, the yellow fear power, essentially, that Sinestro and the Sinestro Corp, funneled their power from.
So that is accurate. Like, he is synonymous with the yellow power and fear.
It's kind of funny because as bad as it looks, that is how it would function. It would take over Chrono's body and malform him. It's just the execution of that on the screen is piss poor.
Yeah.
Yes, because he's supposed to be, like, parasitic, but in this movie, he has a body. We see it all the time, but then also has a puppet on Earth, and I'm not really sure why they did both of those things.
Well, you got to get Hector Hammond in there somehow, Connor. The only other memorable villain from Green Lantern.
Yeah, him and one of the gorillas have the same origin story, basically. One of the mini gorillas.
Yes, Squirrod. I was reading about that.
Did they have any links to Parallax?
No.
Okay. Then what? So then this character is completely bullshit then.
Right.
Well, I will say this though, they do it half right, and we'll get to it when we get to it. But like they did. See, this is the thing about this movie, and I'll address them as the moments happen. But they do have a lot of stuff from the fucking comics from this time, from like the reboot stuff. But they just fucking fumble they fumble it along the way.
I was gonna say, in some cases they do interesting things, but they double back on it. They undo the interesting thing that they set up because of this larger lore that they're trying to establish. So they keep getting in their own way.
No, I agree. And just even this opening, like Joe was talking about, with his dad's, flight test. Man, in the comics, and I did this a little bit with Dragon Ball, and I've done it with other things in the past, so I apologize for anyone that this drives insane, but I can't help it. The fucking comic did it better in about 4 pages than this movie does in 10.
10 minutes? 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Right.
It's just fucking Hal Jordan fucking waking up as a kid and being like, "Oh, Dad, you're not going to go have to fly, are you?" And he's like, "I got to, son, because I'm not afraid of anything," or whatever he says.
That's the film's message, get it?
"I'm not scared because I can't be scared because I need to do my job." And it's like, okay.
Daddy can't be scared because he takes opioids.
There's the through line. He loves giving thumbs up and shit. And then, like, oh man, this threw me for a loop because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we're going right from bedtime to, like, we're waking up in the morning and, like, Hal's, like, late for school. And he ends up just, like, skipping school and going to the fucking Air Force Base?
Yeah.
Just, like, they let little kids run around on the fucking Air Force Base?
Right.
Yeah. Well, they also let little kids walk into mining shafts, too, so.
Well, this is true. Okay, yeah, okay. That same guy's Benny's on duty. He's like, "Hey, kid, want a Budweiser?" Okay.
How about a cigarette?
No, do you have a cigarette? I'm not asking you if you want one.
Oh, yeah, small child, do you have a cigarette?
So this is all happening, and we're to assume that Parallax was unleashed in 1993.
Right.
Which leads to a larger problem that I have, which is...
That just dawned on me, too. I'm like, wait a
Oh,
second.
my God.
The Earth is dead already.
It takes him like 25 years to get back at Abin Sur for imprisoning him.
It takes them 25 years, and the Green Lanterns in all that time don't realize anything is going on, and they don't fix it, which is just... That's Jedi Order levels of stupidity, and just incompetence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they make a point to show fucking Abin Sur's, like, craft from the comic as, like, his ship in 93, and then he has this fucking Sims diamond in fucking 2011 or whatever the hell this is.
I got an upgrade. Don't the Guardians have foresight into that? Like, can't they sense that he's out and about?
You would think so.
You would think, yeah.
I thought they mentioned that, like, oh yeah, we know that fucking yellow bastard's out there fucking around. He's gonna kill us all.
I feel like they always have been played up in the comics and even in this movie as, like, they're so up their own ass that they don't think about stuff like that unless it's brought to their attention.
Unless it directly affects them.
Yeah, and like from what I remember from the comics, there was one guy in particular and a second Guardian that I can't remember her damn name. I think it might have been Scar, but this guy Ganthet, he was kind of like the one Guardian who kind of thought more in that direction, but all the other ones are just so high and mighty, they don't even think, oh, well, he wouldn't escape. Why would he escape?
Yeah, they do a lot of sitting around and staring off ominously.
They seem really fucking bored.
It's like, oh, they must be busy thinking, I'll leave them alone.
That's like me watching this movie.
And there's a lot of storylines in the comics where that causes tension within the Green Lantern Corps, and people, like, rebel against them for that, and shit happens.
For being complacent?
The Lanterns seem very proactive, and the Guardians seem very passive.
Right. So little Hal runs up on his dad, and his dad's like, "Hey, here's my jacket. Keep it warm for me, because I'm about to explode." And the one dude's like, he says something to him like, "Oh, the rotation's off 2 degrees," and he's like, fuck it, I'm good. How's everything else? And he's like, "It's fine." He's like, "Okay."
I was like, you're dead.
Let me tell you something. This is an inside job by Ferris.
Oxygen tank 6 is unsafe.
Yeah, fuck it. So he's like driving this plane, and they're like, "Yeah, Dad, yeah." What is he doing? A demonstration or something?
He's supposed to be testing out this fucking F-35 or whatever the fuck it is.
There's like, it's like an event. There's like people there. They're like, "Yeah, can't wait to see you fly it."
Yeah, why are there all these people here for a demonstration of a military weapon? Like, why is there a crowd?
Yeah, you wouldn't do that.
I don't know. This is like a government thing that they do by themselves, not with a fucking...
Well, because they did it in the comic, but we fucked it up.
Oh, they did? Okay.
I mean... I could see company people being there. I could see that. Like, people who work there, maybe bringing their families, maybe, but like 10 people. Like, not 50 or whatever.
I see a bunch of suits sitting at a round table watching it on a television. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this thing fucking takes off.
Or does it?
Yes, it does. And he's
Yeah.
like, "All right, Dad, you're the coolest." Gives him a thumbs up. and he goes to take off, and this fucking engine fucking blows out, or I don't even know what the fuck happened. Something blows up.
It explodes.
And this plane just starts careening into the fucking flight tower, takes it out, and ends up like crashing down the fucking runway. And little Hal runs up to this fucking thing, and his dad...
Oh my god, this is so funny. I'm sorry.
Oh,
but
I was like, I laughed out loud because I was like, is this what we're doing? Like this?
well, it's also the way it's filmed and edited. Like, so Hal is running up to his dad, and he sees his dad stand out of the cockpit like he's okay.
The eject thing pops off.
Yeah, so his dad's fine, stands up, and doesn't even... He sees Hal for a split second, and then it just slam cuts to the plane exploding in a fireball.
It's... I'm pretty sure he turns around and he's like, he gives him a thumbs up and then he explodes.
The way they shot it and edited it, like, you don't get a moment to drink in what's happening and feel any dread or any kind of emotional attachment. You're just like, oh, he blew up. That was really funny.
I still didn't realize what was happening because it was just like, I drive planes, I guess.
And here's how 4 pages beats this fucking 10-minute intro.
Please enlighten me.
It just starts with him already at the fucking airplane, at the airport or the Air Force Base, I guess. He already has the jacket. His dad's already flying the fucking plane. There's some internal monologue. Carol's out there with her dad. Her dad is actually a kind of a piece of shit, on the phone with Hal's dad, telling him, no, it's fine, about the ship, kind of like, waving off the problems. And then Hal goes to kind of break through the fence where there's like a ripped part in the bottom of it to get closer to watch his dad. And then like as he's doing that, his dad goes, oh my God, I'm losing control. It's either I hit Coast City or I hit this and only I die. And he crashes into the ground and explodes.
Better.
He doesn't fly through the fucking control center. He doesn't panic. He just makes a decision and makes a sacrifice.
Yeah, but that's supposed to be like the whole thing that he instills in his son, right? Like,
right. But like I felt like the comic, it was like a heroic move. And in this, it was just like, oh fuck, the thing's broken. Shit, I'm dead.
Yeah. It's my job to not be afraid.
Let me take out this tower full of 10 people.
Yeah. Yeah, that dude fucking gets clocked and falls down a stairwell.
It slices an air traffic control tower in half, essentially, and they just gloss over that. I'm like, there's probably dead people in there.
Oh, yeah, there sure is.
Like, I get that you're not going to do a 1-to-1 because it's a totally different medium, but like, why have him crash into the control center? Because you have the budget for it?
I think that's why they cut it out of the movie, because they were like, you know what? We did a really bad job doing this.
Yeah.
So then we flash forward to the present where Abinsur's driving this fucking diamond around in space.
What is this guy's name? Abinsur?
Abinsur.
He was actually, his comic book design was based on Yul Brynner.
Really?
That makes a lot of sense.
But he's still fleeing Parallax. And then we go to Hal Jordan. And guess what, guys? He's exactly like the comic book. Oh, wait. He's nothing like the comic book.
He's just Ryan Reynolds.
He's Deadpool.
Yes, yeah, that's part of the problem with this movie is that I don't think Ryan Reynolds is bad, generally speaking, but he should not be Hal Jordan.
Well, I'll go so far as to say, at least at the very beginning of this movie, he's not playing Hal Jordan, and his character changes completely. Not in, like, the way that a story arc should change, but in just, like, he's playing a different character altogether by the end of this movie.
Agreed.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't feel right or make sense.
And just, like, I read that this director never wanted Reynolds for the role. He wanted Bradley Cooper, but the fucking studio wanted Reynolds, and then just the entire time they made the movie, Campbell and Reynolds just fucking butted heads, and we all know that Ryan Reynolds since then has just said he hated doing this movie, and the only thing that came out of it was that he met his wife.
I was going to say, is he married to Blake Lively at this point?
No, this is where he met her, so I guess that's his only win and a paycheck.
Yeah, and the funny thing, real quick, the producers of this movie, or the writers of this movie, Mark Guggenheim and Greg Berlanti, would then go on to essentially oversee and parent the entirety of the CW DC shows.
Yep.
So they eventually got to go, repent for this kind of fuck up. But I think a lot of studio interference is what has been happening in this movie.
You know what? That's what I'm thinking.
It smells like studio interference.
Because I remember when this movie first got announced, Geoff Johns was on board, and I was like, fuck yeah. He's like the Kevin Feige of fucking DC.
Yeah.
How could it be bad?
Well,
WB was like, watch.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You like this property? Watch me fuck it in the face.
Yeah, we're gonna need a guy who builds roller coasters to oversee a comic book company.
And WB's still doing that with Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you wanted Ash? Oh, you wanted Joker? Here's Terminator.
Yeah.
Oh my god, somebody needs to smack that motherfucker in the face.
Poor Ed Boon's got to come out on this shit and be like, it's not our fault, we're sorry.
Michigan J. Frog's fucking got him tied up. He's like, yeah, we're gonna put fucking Terminator in there. Sorry, that's the only thing I can pull from besides, Mickey Mouse and Disney, Michigan J. Frog, and the WWB.
So, but to back up on that point about the roller coaster guy, I think one of the most recent CEOs of Warner Brothers, and one of the people who's partially to blame for all the fucking shit that happened with the DCEU, was, I forget his name, but he was an amusement park owner?
Kevin Tsujihara, and he ran Six Flags.
Great Adventure?
Yeah, I think so. He was responsible for the integration with all the Six Flags parks. He's part of why there's rides with bugs on them. And
How do you get these jobs? How do people who don't know what the fuck they're doing,
I don't know.
and what the fuck what the fucking job is about, understand the material they're going into or how shit works, and they're just like, yep, here you go, here's a fucking job. Like, God, that makes me so aggravated with anything, whether it be, the head of some company or director or whatever. Like, why the fuck would you hire the guy who doesn't know what the fuck the medium is?
It happens all the time. And, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff that happened with Justice League would make you cry. It's really upsetting, but we won't go into that here now. So, Hal's an adult, and the first thing we see is he's just waking up on top of a girl, and he's like, I'm late for flying stuff. There's water on the tap.
Yeah, the water's in the tap. Bye.
Stick an egg in your mouth and chew.
I'm slapping my fucking knees because it's just so goddamn funny.
I just feel sorry for that Australian extra who was in that scene who got paid to just sit there and lay down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blanket in her chest. Here, come in for like 20 minutes. We'll film your face twice.
Look upset. We're not going to show you in the rest of the movie because Hal's trying to fuck the other one. Bye.
But he's late for something.
They're doing a test of these fucking like super intelligent unmanned aircraft for the sabers for the army, and what they're basically doing is putting them up against their best pilot, which just happens to be Hal Jordan
and Carol Ferris.
I guess his midichlorian count is through the fucking roof because he's up there fucking doing all kinds of flippy doos and shit, and he ends up like outrunning this thing and like shooting it down and all this shit. And then this is the most forced fucking story beat I've seen in a long time. Like, the only way to stop these saber things is for him to like go to a certain altitude where they short out or whatever. And in doing so, like, so does his plane, or so does his jet. So then they short out and fall. He falls with them and then shoots them on the way down, but then like doesn't regain control of his jet because he's thinking about his dad dying?
Yep.
And then we get a flashback of the entire scene we just saw 4 minutes ago.
If you watch the extended cut.
It's like House of the Dead with the Sharagon. The fucking Naruto episode.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I don't know. And it goes on for like an absurd amount of time. It's not just like a quick thing and then like he snaps out of it or whatever. He just keeps falling. And they're like, Taika Waititi's like, oh, hi, Taika, how you doing?
Yeah, hey, what's up?
As Tom, the engineer.
Oh, pretty fucking good.
Yeah, pretty good. Hal, you want to fly your plane a little more carefully?
Pretty good. I'm in this movie now.
You see Taika taking notes on what's going on. He's just, don't do this. Do this. Yeah, just getting ready.
He looks over and Kevin Feige's also taking notes. He's like, what? I'm not here. He has a fake mustache on and everything.
He's like, yeah, man, pull your eject thing. Get out of the plane. And he's like, I don't want to. I'm thinking about my dad.
Thinking about how my dad blew up.
And I'm thinking I'm going to blow up.
Thinking about my Uncle Sam down in Kuwait.
all the while, Ryan also taking notes. Don't do this again. Don't do that again.
Yes.
Be a producer on the movie.
You want me to wear what?
The scene in Deadpool where he goes back in time and shoots him while he's reading the Green Lantern script is is so much more funnier now that I've actually seen this film, because I've never seen this before, by the way.
Yeah, I just love that Deadpool altogether, both movies have been so cathartic for this guy, because it's done so much good for him.
All at the expense of my favorite superheroes movie.
Sean's crying in a corner, and Ryan Reynolds is making a paycheck for both of those films.
Dude, he's in a fucking bathtub full of money. He's like Scrooge McDuck in this shit.
Green Lantern was sacrificed on the throne of Marvel.
Fuck him.
So he eventually ejects, and then I think we cut to the interior of Ferris Air, and he's getting chewed out by a bunch of people, and everyone's just really mean to him.
Well, this guy's losing his job.
Yeah.
He sure does. Him and like some other people, but that part didn't make any sense because they get the account. So Blake Lively's all pissed off because she's like, "Oh, you fucked up. You blew up an F-15 or whatever." And turns out, we lost the account because you're a jerk off or whatever, because you're a fucking show off, right?
But then the point he makes, which is I thought the purpose of this exercise, was like, we wanted to see what humans could do against these things, and I showed you that they cannot go past a certain altitude or they will drop like flies.
Which is precisely what happens, and the data that they want, because fucking 3 scenes later, they're like, "Oh yeah, we got the account back."
Yeah.
You want to know what's the pisser? They do the same thing in the comic, but it's better.
Sensing a theme here.
They don't have this bullshit with AI fucking planes. It's just, hey, can you take this F-35 in the sky and see if you can get it to Mach 1? He goes, okay. He takes it to Mach 3 and the fucking plane starts falling apart.
I would have liked that better. That sounds so much better.
And then he's like, basically like, whatever about like getting footed the bill to the fucking military. He's like, it worked.
I thought these were going to play like an integral part of the story. Like,
nope.
You know what I mean? And they just fuck right off. He blows them up and it's just like, yep, whatever. See ya.
Well, there's a lot of stuff like that just doesn't play anything. I assume the jacket would come back.
No.
Oh my God. That just dawned on me too.
He wears it all the time in the comics.
I mean, he is wearing it, isn't he?
No.
It's hanging in his closet. After he gets his ass chewed out by a bunch of superiors and Blake Lively, he goes to see his family?
Yeah.
Question mark, dude.
He goes to see
Jim and Jack, man. Pulled right out of Secret Origin.
Well, in this movie, it's brother guy, other brother guy, mom question mark, and nephew.
Who could give a shit?
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, you're taking shit from the comics, but you're just cherry picking. Like, okay, in the comic, the mom's upset that he's a pilot. In the comic, his older brother Jack's pissed that he's a pilot like the dad, and he's tearing the family apart. And the younger brother, Jim, he, like, looks up to him, but he's just kind of a wimp, and he can't, like, just cheer him on.
It's kind of here, but it's glossed over immensely.
It is abridged and compressed to the point where these people show up and then walk away, and you never see them again.
No.
My favorite shot of this whole thing, though, is, like, I guess it's his mom or someone, walks in, looks at him, gets sad, walks away, and is never spoken of or seen again.
Oh, it's his mom, and I had to be like, is that his mom?
Just no context whatsoever.
I think it's his mom.
We're just left to assume.
Listen, you don't gotta pay her if she doesn't talk, so...
She's just a glorified extra.
Yeah.
It's Martin Campbell's mother. He just told her to come in for a fucking day.
Just look at Ryan Reynolds, get upset, and then walk out. It's really easy.
You get free catering, Mom. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it looks like somebody took her fucking sandwich away. That's why she's upset.
That's exactly what happened. It's B-roll footage.
So Hal makes his way upstairs to his nephew's room. And, by the way, everybody's pissed off because they're like, we saw what you did on the news. And I'm like,
okay.
They wouldn't let that out on the fucking news. It's a test for a top secret fucking government plane.
Because, yeah, like, in the background on the news, there's a fucking reporter like, I'm here at Ferris Air, and pilot Hal Jordan just messed up a big test flight. I'm like, that's not news material. You wouldn't have people there.
Right.
Again, they're doing this test flight, and it's in the middle of the desert. There's nobody around. Why is it on the fucking news?
Because exposition.
'Cause stupid. I don't need these fucking characters.
When Willem Dafoe killed all those fucking guys in Spider-Man, they didn't have in the news Green Goblin murders generals.
Green Goblin slaughters scientists.
Norman Osborn goes nutsoid.
It's like a reporter in the room while it's happening while he's like, back to formula. And she's like, those were the words he said before he killed his lab assistant.
Pumpkin bomb.
Here's a sketch of his face as he was transforming.
It's like a GIF.
It's almost like you were there. So he goes and talks to his nephew, and like his nephew's like, I'm glad you're safe. And Hal Jordan's like, I got you a toy plane. Let me take down this other toy plane that looks kind of the same and hang up this other one.
Yeah.
Here's Wonder Woman's fucking jet.
He's like, this was my dad's, and I'm going to give it to you, my shitty little nephew I don't give a damn about.
And he tells some horrible, boring story where he's like, yeah, I saw some little bastard throw a perfect game once.
A baseball.
And his nephew's like, I think that was me. He's like, yeah, oh, that was you?
And then fucking Flubber flies through the fucking window and into his chest?
Oh, that's right, because Abensor has crash landed on Earth at this point.
Right. For 12 hours, he's been crash landed.
Yeah, well, he's attacked by Parallax.
Yeah, he's slowly bleeding out in a bay somewhere.
He crashed into fucking Innsmouth.
The people there just take him inside?
Yeah, which fortunately for him works out because he kind of looks like a fish man.
Yeah. They were like, oh, you're one of us. We'll leave you alone. He's like, I'm dying. They're like, no, you're fine.
Hey, come here, mate with one of my daughters.
Yes.
Yeah, he leaves the fucking party because it's for this kid's birthday. And like you guys are saying, he gets picked up by this fucking green orb of energy, and he gets essentially flown to Abin Sur, who's dying from a wound he received from Parallax in space.
Question. Green Lantern. So I'd assume he's like a fucking Super Sentai where his costume does come from his ring.
Yes.
Okay. Is it some type of armor?
Can be.
Okay, because something I noticed in this film is that, like, these dudes get fucked up, and, like, they make such a to-do about, like, getting, this special armor that's so fucking skin-tight that it has to be CG.
No, it doesn't need to be.
It's
kind of like it's like your spirit armor, or like, your Nen armor from like Hunter x Hunter or some shit. It's supposed to be this energy shield that's surrounding your body that you can then, based on your willpower, create structures out of, or constructs.
But these guys are like getting fucked up.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Arbenser like gets like a fucking chunk taken out of his goddamn chest, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Are you asking if the suit has any kind of practical defensive qualities to it?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, if his stupid fucking face mask automatically activates.
Well, I think the idea is that, like I said, like with the aura shield, let's call it, it's almost like they have like an inch of hard plastic around their body. It's not a lot of armor, but it's like a last defense if someone gets a punch in on them.
Sure.
The way I'm used to seeing it depicted is like there's a little bit of energy surrounding them, kind of like a little mini force field that's just always there, especially when they're in space.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing with Abin Sur, which they don't ever fucking really explain in this film. He's flying a spaceship because he's lost trust in his power ring.
Oh.
And they don't ever really go into that, or it might be like a throwaway line from Sinestro.
Oh, well, that makes sense now. Like, it just dawned on me, too. Like, why is this motherfucker in a spaceship?
Right, and that's the whole thing. That's why the Guardians say he gave into fear, and that's why he's doing that. Because he's afraid. In the comics, I don't remember in the original if it was the same thing, but in the retconned one from Geoff Johns' run, it was that he was big into prophecies, and he found out about the Black Knight prophecy, and he found out how, like, he was going to die, or basically that his power ring was going to be the cause of his death, so he was, like, not using it for a long time.
Gotcha.
And then eventually he uses it to defend himself, and his plane fucking crashes on Earth.
Well, it's fucking stupid in this, because he's supposed to be like the fucking strongest, craziest lantern like ever, and he just gets fucking fridged by fucking Parallax in like 2 seconds for apparently no reason.
I just love when Hal shows up and he's like, oh, take the ring, say the words.
Oh, he just fucking goes right to sleep, doesn't he?
Fear disease.
Here's the ring. Say the oath. See that fucking lantern? Put it in there. Good night. And then that's it.
He just dies. Like, just real quick.
Also, the comics introduced this fucking idea that the ring can talk to you. Why was that out in the movie?
I thought that, I mean, I was waiting for that because he doesn't tell him the oath, and I'm like, how the fuck is he going to learn the oath?
You could have conveyed so much fucking narrative in such a short period of time if this ring was just like the fucking monitor in Halo, and it's just like reading off information to you, just like it does in the comic.
I mean, if the ring could talk, you wouldn't need the core at all to show up in this movie.
Well,
yeah, okay, that's fair. I'll give you that, Arlen.
That's totally true. But like when he has the ring, there's situations where he's talking to the core where the ring is giving him the ability to know shit and like beam shit into it. You know what I mean? So I guess that's kind of there, but you just can't hear it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's basically like a babblefish, but it's coming out of the ring. And you know what? Honestly, like, he should have put the fucking ring on and been teleported to Oa instead of having another 20 fucking minutes of bullshit.
You're fucking completely correct, because what are we fucking doing? Oh, I guess because he didn't make the fucking oath yet? But does that matter?
No, because in the book, he's just like, hey, you want to be a Green Lantern and protect the fucking world? And Hal Jordan's like, are you serious? Yeah, if you are, I'll do it. And then that's it. Done. He's not scared. He's not freaking out. He's not, like, pissing his britches. He's all about it.
I also thought that, like, once a ring chooses you, it's not like he has to give you some kind of entry quiz or something like that.
Right.
It's just like, you have been selected. Like, it's not like you have to go pass an extra set of qualifiers.
Which she does.
Well, because it's almost like Shazam, you know, to a point, because it's kind of like seeks out the person without any fear on the planet, and I think the most willpower.
And all you have to do is call out Shazam's name, for Christ's sake. This is like a whole fucking diatribe.
Well, that's more to, like, I guess to activate it. This is like the activation code when you're downloading a new program.
Yeah.
It's your new debit card.
Exactly. It's like trying to remember your fucking license plate number.
Well, then instead of just, like, getting the fuck out of Dodge, he calls Tom. He's like, meet me at a fucking random beach.
Yep.
Yeah, meet me this nondescript location with craggy rocks and shallow water and an empty warehouse.
Got it.
Even though this fucking alien has been here for like a day and a night, and the government hasn't come.
Yeah, that's how you know it's a middle of nowhere.
And then, like, they're, like, sitting there, and he's like, oh, look at this, there's an alien. He's like, you buried an alien? He's like, yup. He's like, he gave me this ring and this lantern. Okay, let's go, because the government's coming.
The government's finally coming after a day and a half of this guy sitting on the beach.
Exactly.
Exactly. At the moment they're both together, Argus shows up, and they're like, we're gonna take the alien.
Was that Argus formally, or are we just kind of insinuating that?
I mean, we can assume since she's supposed to be Amanda Waller that's Argus.
Probably Argus.
Also, Amanda Waller, Angela Bassett in this movie. What the fuck is she? What the fuck is she doing? Thank Christ she's in Black Panther. But P.S. Why? I mean, is this the same Amanda Waller, like Suicide Squad Amanda Waller?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And it makes no sense that she would be Amanda Waller.
Yeah, I don't know why she's there.
Why?
So they're doing the whole catch up with the MCU. I think that was the idea. But you're putting a character there who shouldn't be there. She should be a person that's, like, up in an office. Like, maybe observing from far away.
But she was never really, like, a big Green Lantern character. I feel like that was just shoehorning her in for future movies that never happened.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but as part of what? Area 51? What the fuck is this place?
This, I think, is Star Labs, maybe?
I think they say it's Star Labs, but yeah, if we're to assume that Argus is sort of S.H.I.E.L.D.-like in this version of this DC universe, her being aware of this would make sense. Again, her being there and being part of, like, laboratory experiments makes no sense for this character whatsoever.
But she also kinda works for Tim Robbins, fucking Senator Tim Robbins.
Right.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, Tim Robbins is in this.
He's looking for a duck or something, he keeps saying.
He has a history with ducks, as we know.
Well, that's how he became head of Ferris Aircraft, man. He flew with a fucking duck through a goddamn train.
He does. He does. So yeah, he just fucks off back to his apartment. And then are we introduced to Hector at this point?
Hector Hammond. Interesting villain, poorly executed in this film, but I generally like the concept behind this bad guy.
I like his performance. It's very subdued.
No, yeah, I would agree with that.
And he comes off as very insecure and weak, and then once the shit starts hitting the fan, like, his performance becomes something that you look at and you go, he's just constantly in pain and uncomfortable and going through a lot of bullshit, and it's very well conveyed in his body language and his voice and all kinds of stuff like that.
He's a miserable fucking character through this whole movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's just sad.
And he's always been a shit-heel kind of character in the comics. Like, I think his original origin, you know, like Arlen was saying earlier, you know, he originally got his powers from the meteorite that gave Gorilla Grodd his powers.
Oh, could have dealt with some Gorilla Grodd in this instead.
I know.
That would have been cool.
Maybe we'll get him in the Flash movie.
Ooh.
But in the iteration of this film is closer to the run that Johns was doing at the time, where it also involves a meteorite, but the meteorite powers Abinsur's ship. In the case of this film, the thing that gives him his powers is actually part of Parallax that is inside Abin Sur, and I'm still not sure how that fucking works, but that's how it happens.
Yeah, what is it like? Hey, you got a little parallax on you? Like,
yeah,
you got some shit in your face there.
Got a little bit of the yellow power hanging out in that hole.
Yeah, was it mustard in there? What's this?
You catch up, motherfucker.
But yeah, someone just walks in. They're like, "Hey, you want to cover an alien?" He's like, "Do I?" Like,
Yeah, there's this weird thing where he's like, because as a kid in the beginning, he's like, "Do you know aliens exist?" I mean, I'm sure they do. I'm gonna grow up to be really smart and then get to dissect an alien because I'm the most qualified person that should be doing this.
again, I'm going to reference the comic again, but Hector Hammond knows Carol, like, when she's an adult. And, like, he just dislikes Hal Jordan because he's, like, makes him look bad when he first starts getting his powers. At least in the more recent run. Again, I'm sure he was just some fucking random mook in the original, like, 60s version. But, like, I don't know why you need this additional layer of they were also friends as kids and, like, implying that he's like,
Yeah.
I'm jealous of Hal Jordan because Carol likes him and not me.
Yeah, this long-time incel storyline.
King of the fucking incels.
Even though Hal's like trying to like stand up for you and stuff.
does this happen first, or does the training sequence happen first? I'm not sure.
No, actually what happens first is we're introduced to Sinestro and he's like, "Oh, the fuck, Parallax has been released and I'm going to gather up the best Green Lantern god and we're going to go fuck him up."
Oh, why is this fucking place so dark? Did the effects just look so bad that they had to throw a bunch of shaders over everything to cover it up?
Yeah, maybe.
I was gonna say, here's the thing: when Aquaman was coming out, one of our Phantom Zone guys, Lou, was concerned that it would be too Green Lantern-y with all the CGI environments. But then when you watch Aquaman, you're like, this is a vivid, detailed, like, beautiful landscape to look at. And then in this, you're like, it's craggy bullshit and a few buildings, and you can't see any of it.
Yep.
Why couldn't we get that? Like, is a fucking pretty beautiful place in every comic book I've ever read that it's involved in.
Yeah, it does.
Kind of looks like a shithole in this.
It's also an alien planet. Like, do something creative. Be imaginative. Like,
Yeah.
Don't just fucking phone it in.
That's been there for centuries. It's supposed to be like this.
A millennia.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's supposed to be like this I wouldn't say oasis, but a beautiful palace type.
I just don't know how you look at the comic books, at the source material that you're getting from fucking DC, where there's like these futuristic fucking cities with like, you know, shit all over the place and people flying around nonstop and it's all bright colors, and you get this like fucking shadow fucking fell type area where everything's in shadow, everything's dark, but hey, the heroes of the galaxy live here.
Right.
And they're all in the same place at the same time in every
It's almost like the place doesn't have a fucking atmosphere either.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird when I miss Zack Snyder's design abilities and his design capabilities. That's a bad day.
I was going to say, the opening of Man of Steel is a very fun action sequence. Also, you look at it and go, wow, that is a fully realized Krypton. And you only get a small chunk of it, but like there's so much going on from the design perspective of the first like 10-15 minutes. Super busy, and it's really pretty. And I like the way everyone's dressed, like the way the buildings look. And then you get here, and it's like we're in robes, CGI suits, and there's nothing around us but rocks.
Right. And Mark Strong, again, I can't say it enough, but like he just kills it as Sinestro.
My God, he is amazing.
He looks like the character. He's fucking playing him perfectly.
The makeup is awesome. I really hope it's practical. I think it is.
I'm sure to a point it was.
I think there's a little bit of work on his head because, like,
Yeah.
Sinestro's head has always been very light bulby to me, where he has a very slender chin and a kind of a bigger head, and they kind of achieved that. I guess it's like a little bit of stuff on top, but other than that, it's like, oh yeah, Mark Strong just happens to also just fit into the role of Sinestro like a fucking glove.
Right.
Like physically, verbally, everything. I'm like, wow, you are it.
He looks great, and it's a shame because it's wasted, you know?
Oh, yeah.
In this.
Yeah, and you get a very, very vivid idea of how he could become a bad guy, because you see him right away. You're like, oh, you're aggressive, and like you're willing to sacrifice a planet, you know, in order to protect this one. Like, I don't know if you're really cut out for this anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like his defining character trait in the comics, is that he was like, his whole thing was like, oh, I have the safest place because he rolls it with a fucking iron fist.
Yeah.
That kind of comes across with the way that Mark plays this character. And, you know, just to get back to the film in hand, he's going to the Guardians, basically, asking for something to beat Parallax, because the last thing he heard from Abin Sur, because they had made contact earlier in the film, right before Abin Sur gets attacked by Parallax, was that it's Parallax. And, you know, you see the look on the Guardians' face, and they're all like, yeah, fuck, we know what that is. And I forget how it comes up, but the yellow fucking fear energy gets brought up, and Sinestro essentially is like, long story short, we need to use that to beat Parallax.
Yeah, so let's construct a yellow power ring.
Yeah. He's like fucking Boromir. He's like, well, we're going to use the Ring of Power and we're going to destroy Sauron. No, you're fucking not, dude.
Except everyone shakes their head yes.
Ravioli, give me the one Ringoli. Give me the yellow Ringoli.
I love how the Guardians are like, okay, whatever the fuck you want, I guess. Yeah, like, they just sit on these fucking stupid chairs and they just let people make bad decisions. And he consults them like they fucking matter, you know? Because they're just like, I guess.
Well, and that's the thing, man. Like, to these people, like, they created the galaxy, for lack of a better term, and they made the Green Lanterns. And, you know, again, the comics expand on this. You know, granted, you know, we're talking about a 2-hour film compared to something that's, you know, an ongoing series, which, again, maybe not a totally fair comparison, but when you shit the bed this badly,
sure,
it's hard not to point fingers.
But it's like they shot their load, like the Guardians shot their load making the universe and the Green Lantern Corps, and they're just like sitting on chairs like, oh.
They're just like, all right, we're done for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're tired. We're going to sit here for 1 billion years.
We'll be tired for the next 6 centuries, okay?
Yeah.
It should be more of a point of contention, but it kind of like only is right towards the end, and it's like so short-lived that it doesn't even really matter.
Reminds me of the Elder Gods of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, who do not a fucking thing for the entire film and then suddenly get involved. Like,
yeah.
Fuck, I'd rather be watching that.
I don't know about that.
No, I guess no.
So, Sinestro is like, let's go fight Parallax, yay!
Yeah, and then we cut back to fucking Hal, and he's trying to activate his lantern.
Oh, that's right, and this is overlaid with shots of Hector in Star Labs performing the autopsy on Abin Sur.
Yeah, fingering Abin Sur's fucking chest.
He's digging it real deep in there.
He is.
This movie has a habit of every time some kind of transformation is happening to either Hector Hammond or Hal Jordan, they feel the need to like intercut between the two of them at the same time. Like they're experiencing this like...
Right. Like they're parallel characters. Like you have your good and bad sides of the coin being influenced by alien races.
But he's like, Hector Hammond is the fucking secondary antagonist. Like, why is he such a focus?
I think he was initially the first antagonist.
I think so too.
And like they blew Parallax out into a bigger thing.
Yeah, if you watch this, like, Hal and Hector have no real conflict or any kind of solid interaction that matters up until, like, Hector becomes, like, a mutant.
Yeah, but I also think that's, like, my big problem with this is because neither of the villains are fully realized and they're just kind of there. And they're just like, I'm a bad guy. And then all this other shit happens and they literally show up at the end for a fucking 10-minute fight and then it's over.
Or, you know, you do the Incredible Hulk angle where you have Parallax be that main villain, and then you have Hector Hammond in the place of Leader, in this case, transforms towards the end, and you just tease it in a post-credit scene or some bullshit, or, you know, right before credits.
Funny, because both movies have in common is that they never got a follow-up, so you don't know what happened.
Right, oh, yeah.
At least in the Hulk, that, like, went off, like, it was just like, oh, here's a little fucking breadcrumb for you, and then Abomination was the bad guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We go to this scene, essentially, after this is all going on, to Hal, like Joe was saying, trying to activate the fucking ring, and he can't get it going. He's got the fucking ring in the lantern.
By the power of Grayskull.
It is one bad joke after another.
He's just saying, like, famous catchphrases as if he expected any of them to work.
Yeah, they're not even solid jokes.
Go, gadget ring.
That might have worked.
Yeah, a rational person would, like, attempt any of these.
When your powers combine, I am Green Lantern.
People of Earth, help me gather your energy.
He holds his arms up and just tries a spirit bomb real quick.
I mean, let's be real. It's kind of like a one-to-one fucking comparison with willpower and Genki fucking power, but let's leave that for another day.
Yeah. Do you have to punch a lantern to activate it? You have to punch it?
No.
How does this... Because he has to fucking punch this thing and be like, oh, and then it like tells him what the oath is, and he just says it like a robot.
I mean, I've never seen it that way. The way I've always seen it is you recite and then you get the power. You summon the lantern when you're low on XP, or not XP, power. You need more green stuff to help you out, basically.
You got to gas up the ring.
Like, you gotta touch it to the lantern like he does in the film, but it's, it's not some elaborate fucking thing like they're trying to make it out to be.
He's always punching it.
Yeah.
He does it on accident this time, but then the second time he's like, oh, wait, I got to juice up.
So, yeah, he finally gets it to activate after he punches it, but then Carol knocks on his fucking door. And, 45 minutes into the film, and this motherfucking guy's still not Green Lantern.
Yeah, it's like other stupid shit keeps getting in the way of the movie advancing the plot.
We have fucking 10 minutes at a bar I don't need.
There's so much needless, just like tensionless.
Remember that time we fucked but didn't really fuck, but we flew together?
Yeah.
And then you want to dance, and then who could give a shit? Go away. It's a shame because you guys said that she plays a big part. She's Sapphire Lantern or whatever in the comics, and like she's just so like she's such a nothing.
Yeah, underused.
In this film, yeah.
She is a romantic interest whose job is to be put in peril at various points in this film.
Yeah.
So then Hal can pick her up and fly her away.
Yep.
And, like, maybe that's what she was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
But that's not what we're doing here.
But, like, the stuff what Johns wrote, which is presumably what caused this film to get made in the first place, she's like a badass. She's like a fighter pilot. She becomes the fucking Star Sapphire. She's intelligent. She makes her own decisions. She doesn't just do shit because it'll help Hal. She's not some, like, throwaway character.
That's exactly the way they treat her. And she's flying a fucking jet in the beginning, and then he's like, okay, you sit here and look pretty. And then from that point on, that's all she does for the rest of the movie.
Yep. So they have a drawn-out, sappy kind of, like, let's build this love interest that no one's really going to care about. And then Hal goes to leave this bar, and then he's just suddenly fucking beaten up.
Right.
He gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, we get a scene out of the Guyver. Just straight out of it, but not as well done at all.
He fucking falls into the ring, and it, like, sucks into his head.
Hal Jordan just sprays with his fucking Green Lantern ring, fucking writes Hal Jordan on the fucking wall.
Hal was here.
The Green Lantern Jordan, like, on the wall.
I thought these guys were trying to steal his car.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, you son of a bitch, remember at the beginning of the movie? You got us fired!
Right.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that guy who looks like Dave Bautista.
I don't remember him threatening Hal, by the way, ever. I don't remember that ever happening.
He was like in a military outfit originally.
He says it in passing, like, you fucked it up, man. You causes our jobs, man. And then Blake Lively's like, shut up, and pushes him out of frame, and then this is the next time we see him.
And then Hal Jordan kind of fights back for a minute, and then they start beating the shit out of him.
They beat this is almost attempted murder, but then it becomes actual murder, because here's what happens. So these guys are beating Hal Jordan's ass, and then so he turns around to finally, after getting like a 3-on-1 throttling, turns around and throws like just a reactionary punch, but the ring activates and forms a giant fist which hits these guys. They all fly in 3 different directions, and I am positive that one of them is 1,000% dead.
They're all mush, right?
I think they're all pretty much dead.
Because this one dude hits a brick wall and goes through it. He's dead.
Yeah.
Highlight of the film, honestly.
No, some of them are oatmeal. They're just meat on the ground. Just.
By the way, when his ring activates and he does this fucking super punch, before he does this and realizes he has this power, he grabs a handful of nails out of the back of a fucking work truck, and he's going to throw that at them, and ends up, and the big fist comes out of the ring by accident.
Oh, I missed the part where he grabbed the nails.
Yeah, he's gonna throw nails at these people in the face. I wonder what that would have did.
I mean, he's got that Air Force training, man. CQC.
Anyway, they're all fucking dead.
Yeah, he sucker punches these 3 guys and they go to their graves. But then he gets fucking finally transported to Oa, which should have happened 15 minutes ago.
And then an APB is put out for him because they're found right next to his fucking car in a back alley, dead.
I was just gonna say that. His fucking car is impounded, and they're like, we're looking for Hal Jordan. He beat the shit out of these guys, killed them.
Mark Hamill shows up. He's just investigating. He's just trying to figure out what's going on.
Oh my god. But then he gets distracted by this guy down by a fucking canal.
Columbo, get on it.
That's how we connect Green Lantern to fucking Guyver. I think you just figured it out, Arlen.
There's fishmen in both movies, too.
There are fishmen in both movies, but there's no human cockroach.
There might be. I like I said, I got the stack of books in the other room now. I got it out of the crawl space. I can go flip through them and let you know.
Oh, there is some kind of cockroach person in that fucking on the core planet on what is it? Ora?
Oa. We're being flown there at a rapid speed. To the point where Hal Jordan is in space and goes through a fucking wormhole and passes John Crichton on the way through.
Oh, wow.
And John Hurt's like, "Hey, what are you doing up there?"
Yeah, John Hurt's standing there. He's got the fucking Buchanan ready to go. And he's like, "Oh, you don't want my help? Okay."
He's like, "Oh, no, Hal. Bye, Hal."
You didn't see him, but he was off screen. He fucking shot it right there, and he's like, "Oh, there you go. See you later, Mr. Lantern. I'll be back."
Sends him back to 1993.
Right on time. It'll make you watch your dad blow up again.
You're gonna see me later. I'm gonna be inside one of your friends. John Merrick, bye.
And this is where all the Green Lantern people live. And from space, this place looks a lot brighter and happier.
He, wakes up in some room where he's being struck by lightning or something.
He's stripped down to his skivvies.
What the fuck is with this? Is this them giving? I thought this was them like giving him the suit.
This is like some biop scan or some bullshit.
Yeah, I thought they were like just like disinfecting him to go onto the planet or some shit.
This was Martin Campbell saying, "Hey, who likes to see Ryan Reynolds basically naked? Okay, we're gonna throw this in here."
Look.
Oh, yeah.
You can see his fucking bump in the front there if you look. Pause it.
You could see his weird dick path, whatever the fuck those things are called. So yeah, then he gets up and like he somehow inadvertently activates like his ring suit and gets the mask on. And it's the infamous CGI suit.
I want to just make a point before we go on to the next scene that at about the 50-minute mark, we're on Oa. We'll come back to this.
No, yeah. It's a good thing to point out. Yeah. The CG suit, I don't know why we need it.
Right.
For the entire movie.
They hadn't perfected this shit yet.
I know. I'm sure it cost a shit ton of money, too. And I'm like...
And I linked the video for it. I think Arlen see it, too. The Corridor Crew guys covered this in their VFX artist reacting. The thing they pointed out was, like, it's not lit properly, so it constantly looks like it's just painted on his body. Like, it's not really mapped that well or anything like that. And they said the mask looks the worst because it looks like someone slapped him with green paint.
Yes, it does. Like, they would have been better off just fucking gluing it on like fucking Chris O'Donnell.
When they announced who was doing the effects for this film back in the day before it came out, like a year or two before it was done, my fucking heart sank. I was like in my head just so convinced Weta was going to do this film for some reason that just a better film was fucking robbed from me.
Either Weta or like ILM.
Who did the special effects for this? Do we know?
I think it was Sony, but I didn't double check.
They're not good at anything.
You know, the effects weren't bad up until this point in the film. They were okay, and then you see Kilowog, and then I wanted to jump out of my fucking window.
Oh.
The thing is, he's instantly dated.
Oh, he looks like a fucking walking turd, man.
He looks like something from 2005.
Oh, he's instantly dated, and the redesign is terrible. He looks like a testicle with a face.
He looks like a piece of fucking raw meat just thrown against a screen.
Yeah.
It's fucking Michael Clark Duncan.
Who is like coming at him? He's coming at him like an Earth-based streetwise tough guy, and at some point says gravity is a bitch.
Yeah, gravity's a bitch.
Kilowog is one of my favorite fucking characters in Green Lantern, and he is like this badass fucking like drill sergeant like character, and he's always calling people poozers.
Poozer.
And you get introduced to him and the other major Green Lantern character from the comics, Tomar Ray, voiced by Jeffrey Rush.
Oh, there he is.
Yep.
And, you know, the rest, you know, I can't remember because, like I said, it's been years. But there's a slew of other characters that make cameos in a few minutes. But they're kind of your main two besides Sinestro and Hal Jordan. And Kilowog kind of whips Hal Jordan's ass for like 2 or 3 minutes.
He whips his ass for the majority of the time that we're on Oa.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kilowog, you know, beats the shit out of him, talking about how, oh yeah, your willpower sucks. He's dropping fucking boulders on him. You know, energy boulders, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, constructs. But yeah, he just fucking bullies around Hal for a minute, and then Sinestro kind of finally shows up, and he's like, yeah, humans are pretty terrible at this, so I'm not sure why they chose you, but let me mess with you for a little while.
Yeah, he kicks Kilowog in the fucking dick. and then he fights Sinestro.
But here's the thing with this, alright, I have a big issue with the constructs that Hal Jordan used in this movie, because, like, I don't know what's going through his head half the time, but Sinestro's like, let's fight. So Hal forms a fucking pirate cutlass. Like, what the fuck?
Swords, how human.
But I love how Sinestro calls his ass out, too.
Yeah, he's like, oh, swords. Okay, we're doing this. Fine, whatever.
But he like conjures things up like he's like an 18-year-old like kid or like a 15-year-old kid.
Well, if it's not that or a sword, it looks like he fell asleep watching like an 18-hour documentary on the weapons of World War I or something, because when everything else is like...
Or Predator.
Here's an AA gun. Here's a fucking shit.
And I get that it's like the Green Lantern movie, so like you're just gonna take like crazy things this guy can do and just throw them on screen.
Sure.
Like Connor's saying, it's like just fucking machine guns or novelty boxing gloves. Like,
Yeah, the choices are very bizarre. I'm not sure I can't remember what he conjures up after the sword, but like he just like Sinestro has an answer for everything more or less.
a machine gun, like a Gatling gun at one point he pulls out.
Yeah, he pulls out fucking Jesse the Body Ventura's fucking Gatling gun.
The M805 automatic rifle with water sealing.
the Chinese M1L1 triple pulse assault rifle. I wish he fucking pulled that out.
Yeah.
Followed by the BFG.
But then like Sinestro's like, you're a fraidy cat, and then Hal is like, I sure am.
Bye.
Let me tell you about this. I cannot understate how poorly they have portrayed this fucking character in this movie. Like, I'm sorry, I get you're trying to humanize this guy, and you're trying to tell a story of him overcoming his fear. But, like, it's fucking Hal Jordan.
Yeah, it's like his journey is interrupted so he can go take a break from the journey and just go do some other stuff. But it's all predicated on him going like, yeah, I suck at this. I don't want this. I quit.
But what is he afraid of?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be afraid of nothing, and that's the whole point. That he actually is.
I know, but like he has fear because I don't like because his dad died?
Yeah.
Is that why?
He's a risk taker that's afraid to take risks.
Yeah, because I was gonna say he's like completely reckless in most of the shit that he does. So how could he be afraid?
For plot purposes.
I think it's like a risk taker who's afraid to actually have something happen to him, but then he gets here and like in the beginning of the movie, he does this ridiculous stunt to take out 2 unmanned planes. And then here he gets to like a chance to prove his worth, and he's like, nah, fuck it.
I think he's just freaked out, more or less. I mean, he's on a fucking alien planet.
Okay. So what I say, 50 minutes in, we're on Oa. So at an hour in, maybe an hour and a minute, he leaves Oa because he can't fucking be a Green Lantern because he's scared. And he doesn't go back until, like, the last 15 for, like, a scene.
Yeah, we are stuck on Earth for a while to watch some really silly shit.
Bye, Tomar Ray. Bye, Kilowog. Bye, Salik. Bye, all the other Green Lanterns. We'll never see you again. Maybe at the end if we're lucky.
Yeah, except for the last 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
We'll pepper Sinestro throughout because we had to pay Mark Strong a little more to do the role. But that's it.
So fucking cut back to Earth, and Hammond's like feeling the effects of that yellow power that he got in him. And it's like it starts taking over his body, and he starts getting all fucking wacky. And he's teaching a class.
This part got a legitimate laugh out of me.
Yeah, and I guess like the power imbued from the fear, the yellow power, lets you read minds?
Sure.
Because he starts reading people's minds.
Hey, Joe, that's because that's his power in the comics, and they couldn't think of a good reason to do it in this movie, so... Parallax.
Oh, he does read minds in the comics.
Yeah, he's like a telepath.
Okay.
That's why the comparison to Leader is like spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. You could have just fucking gave it to him, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it just happens suddenly. Like his eyes all of a sudden start turning yellow, and then he hears the thoughts of one of his students and starts reacting to him as if they're being spoken audibly, and then like fucking force chokes him out of his chair and throws him across the room.
Sure does. And then he says sorry.
Yeah, whoops.
Whoops, let me go run a blood test on myself.
Yeah.
And then I think he meets up with Tim Robbins again.
His dad, by the way.
Yeah, Tim Robbins' dad.
Hey, Tim Robbins, to make you look older, we're just going to dye your hair white. What do you think?
We're gonna make your hair stark silver.
Hammond comes in and he's like, "Hey, Dad, what do you need something?" And he's like, have I got a job for you? And he's like, "Remember this fucking alien thing that you did?" He's like, How do you know about that?" And he's like, "Oh shit, man, I set that up. So now you're my go-to alien guy. What do you say?" And he's like, yes.
I don't understand this little subplot because it's established that like his dad like has like no confidence in him to begin with, but also was the one who let him dissect an alien and doesn't like him but likes him.
Does he?
I don't understand.
Well, I don't think he does like him, and that's kind of the whole point.
It's very confusing. Yeah. It's like he's helping him, I guess, out of like spite. I don't know. Like because of the family line, I guess. They don't really explain it.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
It's like he's helping out a family member, and beyond that, he's not really thinking much of it. Because, Hector, he hears Tim Robbins in his head talking about how, oh man, my son's a loser. What a fucking embarrassment.
I just want to know who has these very surface level thoughts where they just I don't know, they're just kind of in the moment thinking very blatantly their own intentions.
Right.
It's very bizarre. Like, I don't have thoughts like that. Like,
He's like, I want chicken.
Yeah, exactly. French fries.
Doritos, a nap.
Can this little shit go away so I can get some food?
yeah, that's more accurate.
Can Hector leave so I can crank my fucking hog in my office like I want to? Get a hint.
And so I can ask my secretary to walk in me because I get off on that?
Get the Yups robot out. I need something to watch.
Parlez-vous? Oops.
While Tim Robbins cranks it to the Yups robot, we cut to space, the edge of the Milky Way, and Sinestro leads a fucking army against Parallax.
Right into fucking oblivion.
Who's just hanging out, like, with his tentacles spread out over something. Like, he's just hanging out in the middle of space.
He's just chilling.
It looks like the universe took a shit and it's just there. And he's like, "Hey everybody, come and get me."
He looks like Squidward sitting in a pile of garbage. Like, this little fucking head just popping out of there.
Squidward fucking fused with Pigpen in Seth's fucking teleporter.
So yeah, Sinestro is like, "Here comes the fucking Green Lanterns. We're gonna kick your..." Oh, everyone got killed.
And he's like, "My strongest warriors and strongest world warriors are dead." And I'm thinking to myself, like, how are none of these lanterns strong enough to fight this thing?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The Lanterns look very, very
Weak.
when they actually get to have to do something and they aren't Hal Jordan.
But like, Hal Jordan's arc in this movie is not worthy of him defeating this fucking monster at the end.
No.
It's just not.
Well, no, it's just like he just decides to not suck anymore, which is not a development.
Oh, I guess I'll just concentrate or whatever.
I'm good now because the plot dictates it.
Yeah, exactly.
So then, yeah, Sinestro kind of relays the information, and I guess this is Ganthet fucking telling him how, we created Parallax, whoops, and, Corona, one of our own, fucking, tried to use it and became Squidward, and, we don't really know what to do.
He became dollar store fireworks.
And Sinestro's just like, "Oh my god, that's terrible. Oh, you know what? Let's use that yellow power to fight him. What do you say?"
And then they don't.
I mean, they're forging it. I don't know. How long does it take to forge a ring?
I don't know. We should ask Sauron.
Yeah. One ring to rule them, one ring to Lantern, one ring to kill Parallax, or whatever.
One ring for Boromir.
It sure is.
Then while this is all going on, randomly there's just some fucking party
Yeah, what? I have a question mark next to that. I said, "Party?" Question mark.
for Ferris Air.
It's a vehicle just to have a action sequence.
Yeah.
With a fucking giant Hot Wheels car.
Oh my god.
Which was set up in the kid's bedroom, I guess.
Yeah.
And he just remembered that. He's like, "I was thinking of my nephew. Here you go."
At that point, though, Arlen, why didn't they have the goddamn jet that he
mean-
hung up, the toy jet, if they're going to try to make a reference back to that?
That would almost make sense.
Right. That makes sense.
Right.
Eventually, Hector Hammond kind of goes a little off the deep end because at this point, the Parallax mustard is starting to affect him a little more deeply.
Oh, yeah. It's that spicy brown, dude.
His dad, like, condescends him or something, but at some point, Hector Hammond's like, "Oh, hi, Carol. I cut an alien open the other day. It was really cool."
And Tim Robbins comes over and he's like, "Can you shut the fuck up?"
Yeah.
Well, they kind of established, too, that Hector, every scene he's in, he's, like, obsessing over Carol.
Yeah.
He's just a fucking creep, dude.
He's just going full incel.
Why won't you like me? But then his dad, like, gets aboard a fucking helicopter to leave, and then Hector TK blasts a fucking, like, soda tap
Oh, yeah, dude.
into the rear propeller of the helicopter.
This is like some Final Destination shit.
And then the helicopter careens out of control. There's an awkward cut where it's kind of spinning out of control, and then it cuts to this, like, big projector screen, and the helicopter just violently crashes through it, even though you didn't really know they were in the same location. But then Hal is nearby, and decides not to be a fucking complete mope, puts his fucking power ring on, and constructs wheels around the crashing helicopter, and then summons a full-on Hot Wheels racetrack and does a bunch of loop-de-loop stupid ass shit with this fucking helicopter.
But not before this fucking helicopter crashes through a crowd of people for like a solid 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Yup. He's like, oh, now I should act.
Question. Was there a Green Lantern Hot Wheels set?
Probably.
I hope there was, so they got their money's worth.
Because I know they had Green Lantern the movie toys.
This does feel very forced, and it's like, okay, like, what kind of brand integration are you trying to attempt here with this big, stupid action sequence?
Hasbro, right?
It is so fucking bad that somebody in the movie has to then later on make fun of it. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, the movie, like, immediately calls itself in its own stupid shit.
Of all the fucking things, why is he not using a net? Why is he not, like, trying to pull it and, you know, fly into the air to lift it off the ground? Like, what are we fucking doing?
Because it's Ryan Reynolds and not Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, so let's make him look even more ridiculous with this fucking decision.
A lot of it feels like overcorrection. It feels like they're trying not to be Superman. They're trying not to have it be that just Hal catches everybody or he just brings them down safely in a very boring way or a very direct way. Like, he has to do something that is visually interesting because he's the Green Lantern. He has to be different from other heroes that you've seen, which should not be your first way of thinking about it going into this.
I also feel like the Hot Wheels thing could be left over from when this movie was supposed to be a comedy with Jack Black.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. That was an actual thing at some point. Like, WB had proposed a comedy Green Lantern movie featuring Jack Black as Hal Jordan.
That sounds fucking terrible.
And people were fucking furious, so they backed off. Like, obviously.
That is what's happening in WB. These are ideas that are being tossed around in a serious way. Okay? It should all be shot into the fucking sun.
I want to take the writers of this movie, except for Geoff Johns. I don't know how involved he was, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And I want to take Martin Campbell, and I want to take him out to a fucking street corner, and some of these executives from WB, and I'm going to say, line up, bite down, and I'm just going to crush each fucking head until I got a bloody-ass fucking walkway of curb-stomped skulls.
Shit.
What the fuck are you doing?
We're going to line you across this crosswalk so poor people can walk across your carcasses.
Oh, man, you do it with a fucking lantern ring, though? A giant boot?
Just one big boot.
Yeah. That's a really big shoe.
Like, how do you fuck this movie up this bad? Like, who thought this was a good idea? Like, no one was on set saying, hey, Martin, I think the whole Hot Wheels angle might be a bit on the cartoony side. Oh, no. We got a deal in place. We got to do this.
Nah, it's fine. The kids will love it. I'm going to go home and smoke 84 cigars because I'm 112 years old.
No, remember in the beginning with his nephew when he touched that thing? He loves Hot Wheels. Here we go.
Toys. So, yeah, he saves Hammond and then I think at some point goes up to see Blake Lively. And this actually got a laugh out of me because it just assassinates the idea that, like, you can put a small thing over your eyes and then no one will recognize you, because he kind of, like, floats up in full Green Lantern and she's like, Hal? He's like, no. She's like, I've seen you naked. You think covering your cheekbones won't hide who you are?
That was really good in this pile, this ocean of crap.
Yeah. Because when he first goes up to her, I'm like, how the fuck can't you tell that that's Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, this is very, very clearly Ryan Reynolds with green paint in his face. And I don't know, they have a fucking conversation moment thingamajiggy. He also saves her during the chaos, and then just kind of, because that's all she does is be put in peril.
He saves her, and then he talks to Taika Waititi, and he's like, isn't the superhero supposed to get the girl? And he's like, oh yeah. And then he flies to her fucking office. And then they have that exchange.
I think it's actually after this is when Hector starts to become a little deformed.
A little?
He looks like Joseph fucking Merrick, dude. He's the elephant fucking man.
Oh my god, yeah.
He does, yeah. Like, his fucking head becomes all bulbous and gross.
That's what I'm saying. John Hurt is inside of this guy.
It's like a tumor is growing out of his head, under his chin, and under his ear, so he's just constantly like, my head's not really fixed the way it should be.
Yeah, and then, like, he goes back to that fucking Area 51 place, and he's got telekinesis and shit, and he can also read minds, and Waller's there, and
his dad's there, and they're like, we're gonna fix you, son, and they just sedate him.
Something's wrong with you, and he's like, I feel great. and then they fucking put him to sleep.
But then when he wakes up, like, they're about to do something on him. Oh, that's right, because Waller says, like, hey, in the blood that we had from this alien, there was a second organism in there, and we think it's inside of you.
Right, and he touches Waller at this point and, like, sees all her memories, and he comments on that.
Yes. And, like, her family gets shot?
Yeah, he sees a subplot that we're never privy to again.
It's pointless, right?
I think it is in the sense of, like, later on, he touches his fucking Hal Jordan, and he's like, oh, now I know you're Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
So then, like, there's also this subplot where Hal is thinking about, because the ring picked me and it was a mistake, and he thinks back to fucking Tomar Ray telling him how, like, oh, the ring is never wrong, it always chooses the right person. So he finally, like, I guess, grows a fucking pair, and he flies over to Area 51 right as Hammond starts fucking up everybody.
Yeah, he fucks him up pretty good, actually.
Yeah, because they try to restrain him on this, like, medical table, and then he just immediately, like, you know, psychically bursts out, and he does something that I could not stop laughing at. So he's, like, kind of throwing people over the fucking room. He's, like, doing like the Jason fucking pinball thing from Freddy vs. Jason, and at some point he throws his dad up into this, like, little office room.
First he throws Angela Bassett into the fucking wall.
Yeah, and just holds her there.
And he's fucking beating the shit out of everybody in this fucking room, and he has Tim Robbins, like, you know, chained to the fucking operating table. And then out of nowhere, Hal bursts through the fucking wall.
Yeah, I'm here now.
I have it written down. I'm like, okay, bad guy scene, and Hal just shows up to fight bad guy?
Hal's like, I'm a hero now, because I said I should be.
Stephen Baldwin gave him the script.
There you go. He's outside in fucking Hurt's car.
Oh my goodness, Arlen has the answers.
This is where I enter. All right, bang.
Right after Buchanan shot that fucking wormhole open for him to go through, he called in Baldwin to bring the car around with the script.
This script just flies out of the fucking wormhole and just floats down into fucking Ryan Reynolds' hands.
John Hurt is inside of Hammond.
He's Parallax?
That's the whole thing.
That's what's inside of his head.
Yes.
It's a small John Hurt.
It's just unsolicited shit. Like, it's an unsolicited scene. Like, he just burst through the fucking wall, and I'm like, how did he get here? How did he know he was here? What is happening?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? He's got to save Amanda Waller when she falls from, like, 20 feet, and he fucking creates a construct of water?
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Which is, like, the coolest thing he summons the whole movie.
What about some fucking pillows or a mattress? Why water?
Yeah, why I'm gonna whisk you down this hallway in this fake tidal wave.
Well, that's basically what he did, yeah.
He's looking for Ghost Shark.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Why didn't he summon a shark?
Could a ghost shark come out of a Green Lantern construct?
I think it might.
A shark bazooka, and he just shoots sharks out of it.
So, at some point, he fucking TK flings Tim Robbins into, like, the same office that Angela Bassett was pressed against the window.
Yeah.
And then controls these two gigantic flamethrowers that are attached to robot arms. Why are they there?
I don't know.
I don't know, diseases, maybe?
You need to burn everything with these two robot-mounted flamethrowers.
Oh my goodness.
And torches Tim Robbins, and torches his fucking dad to death, and Hal Jordan just watches it go down.
I escaped Shawshank for this?
Get busy living or get burned alive by your son.
Tell Howard I love him. So Hammond, like, pokes Hal in the head. He's like, are you scared yet? Here's some fear. And then he, like, I think Hal sees his dad, you know, die all over again. And then Hal's like, fuck you. And he, like, touches the ring to Hammond's head. And something happens.
Yeah.
I guess he's talking to Parallax through Hammond?
Yeah, and then fucking Clancy Brown comes out of left field. And he's like, I was there. I saw your dad at Shawshank, motherfuck.
McLeod!
He did my taxes. He's just like, I'm coming to Earth to kill you. And he's like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Leave a message. And he fucking hangs up.
Yeah, and he's very specific. He's like, once I feed on our 6 billion souls, I will have enough to take over everything.
Yeah, I'll be able to open up the last part of the crypt in fucking Mortal Kombat 10.
Why doesn't he just, like, go to the other side of the planet where Green Lantern isn't and just start devouring people to get those, like, souls he needs?
Yeah, well, why does he go where the Green Lantern is?
What is he doing? He's just, like, in space floating around, just like, man.
Like, I'm scary, aren't I?
And why specifically after Earth? There are planets with, like, 12 billion trillions of people.
That he's closer to.
Because you know what, Arlen? He knew the Blackest Night prophecy, and he decided not to tell anybody about it.
That's fair. He also got a script from Stephen Baldwin.
And you get a script, and you get a script.
It's like that scene from Men in Tights where they all just pull out the script. They go, "This says Hal Jordan breaks through that wall." Does he?
He gets another shot.
Yeah, and then Parallax is like, "I'm coming."
And then Sinestro's like, I made a yellow ring, and then we don't see it again.
Right, but then Hal teleports back because he's got to give his 2 cents to the fucking Guardians. Now that he's got the Buchanan set up to let him in and out of this wormhole on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
I got a shortcut now.
I got it from Stephen Baldwin. One of the Baldwins. I'm not really sure. I didn't catch his name.
WZW.
I don't know. He was a Baldwin.
It definitely wasn't Alec.
Well, yeah, he wanted to be cut from the project.
I don't want to have my name on this thing.
I don't want to be associated with this ring.
I don't want to be the MDU. I'm good. But he goes to the Guardians and he's like, "Hey, instead of just letting my planet get hosed over by a fucking giant interstellar monster, why don't you let me fight it?" And they're like, "All right, cool. Do you?"
Yeah, whatever. They're like, you're gonna die, and he's like, well, okay, bye.
The Guardians are basically like, yeah, if the Earth gets destroyed, it's on you.
See ya.
Which is a very passive thing to do. It's like, you're just going to let him eat another planet and just wait till he gets here? It's like, yeah, okay, well, how many planets could he destroy on the way here?
Their whole thing is like, well, we'll just see what happens. Maybe you'll beat him, maybe you won't.
Let's see if he may not even come here.
I mean, he might just totally go past us.
What if he gets full and falls asleep and then we're ready for nothing?
It's fine. I'm not getting out of my chair for that shit.
We're going to call Bruce Willis and Mia Jovovich and Chris Tucker, and they're going to get the elements together as a backup plan in a different galaxy. They're inside a blue opera singer. Strangely not related to us.
Yeah, Ian Holmes there and everything.
Well, wait, he's got a while before he gets here. We can get all these people here.
Bilbo's got the Ring of Power.
He just summoned a bunch of different various ring bearers of all kinds.
That's the way this goes, man.
What are you? I'm a hobbit. Good enough.
Before he goes back to Earth, he asks Sinestro to help him, and Sinestro's just like, I could, but I'm not going to.
Fuck you.
He gives him some encouraging words or something, and then he's like, but go die, please.
Yeah.
He's like, good luck, even though you took my best friend's ring, who was the way better lantern than you were.
Right, and that's like his big fucking to-do the entire movie. He's pissed that Abin Sur died, so he takes it out on Hal Jordan.
Even though his ring chose him. Like, fucking, you know how this works, dumbass?
You know what? I can't knock the movie for doing things that the comics didn't do or copying it and doing it poorly. That is one element that is kind of accurate. I'll give him that much.
He resents Hal for taking his spot?
Kind of, and he's also, he's kind of a prick to start off with.
Oh, well, he's also pissed off because he's like, how could a human be the most powerful lantern?
Right. This reckless fuck.
Yeah.
That's driving a car, wrapping a gift at the same time in the beginning of a movie.
Oh, he sure is.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. This fucking almost kills himself.
But like Connor was starting to say, he goes back to Earth and he goes to Ferris Air, and Hector Hammond's waiting for him, but he's in a wheelchair now because his head's getting too fucking big.
I can't carry. I need to sit down.
Yeah, he's reached his final form.
There's like a bait and switch that happens with the ring.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you should take this ring. Do it, I dare you. And he's like, okay.
And give me what's her face. And he's like, all right.
Oh, that's right, because he gets there and fucking Blake Lively is once again just there to be in danger so Hal can save her. She's just floating with like a fucking syringe like around her head area, and he's like, I'll poke her with it.
Yet full of fucking yellow juice. He gives it to Hammond, and Hammond puts it on and like shoots a hole in the wall, and he's like, ha ha ha, now I have Green Lantern power, even though I already had telekinesis.
I'm not sure how much of a boost that really is, to be honest.
It's like a downgrade.
But they make a big to-do about it, because he's like, oh, I feel the energy running through me. And then he goes to shoot Hal, and like the power beam like bounces off of him and back at Hammond, and he's like, and Ryan Reynolds is like, oh,
you have to be chosen by the ring.
Yeah, I'm the chosen one, so fuck you. And I'm like, what?
Like 25 minutes ago, you were whining about how you're not chosen, you're not worthy.
Yeah, and he's not like, that's not how that works though. Like, once the ring is off you, it's not like you're protected by anything. Like, you are imbued specifically by the ring.
They never established like Harry Potter wand rules, which I can't believe I'm the one making that reference, but
Wow.
they never do that. They never say, like, the wand will not accept you if you're not its original owner type rule with these rings.
Right. Or you can use it, but it'll fuck you up, you know?
Right, because they've had tons of stuff in the comics where it's like Green Arrow uses it for like a hot second and it totally wears him out, or Batman puts one on and it's like, oh, you don't have the willpower, and Batman's like, whoa, what the fuck? I don't?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we're all scratching our heads on that one.
Well, I mean, you gotta give the man a yellow power ring, let's be real, or a blue one.
It's just the wrong kind of ring, really, isn't it?
Put the rage one on him.
It's not that he can't, it's that he just hasn't found the right one yet. So, after this little exchange, Parallax shows up. He's like, hi, I'm here now, and I'm here to do some spooky shit.
And he fucking 86's ham, and he's like, you failed me, douchebag. And he fucking sucks his yellow bones out.
Parallax, who could just basically like hang in the sky and create a construct of a fucking like solar beam and just blow this place to smithereens, just comes in all casually.
Pretty much. But, like, what is his plan? To, like, suck a soul, like, one by one?
Yeah, what does he sell?
Yeah, he's like, I'm scary.
I gotta suck a whole bunch of people off before I can do the thing.
Starts rolling his, just rolling his weird tentacles, like, down the fucking city streets, just sucking people up.
Who lit off that fucking firework?
He kind of, like, he starts, like I said, eating civilians, and then at some point, Hal goes to protect somebody, and he kind of constructs this little, like, shield over his head. And then this is where the movie takes a really bizarre turn, because Hal just decides he's good at this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean the character I was looking for from fucking minute one of this film?
But, like, really good and completely unwarranted. Or unearned.
He says some words and then can suddenly fight back this horrifying cosmic nightmare that's been coming towards his planet. And he just starts whooping his ass.
He repeats the oath, and all of a sudden it gives him the strength of fucking, I don't know.
10 men.
Yeah, it's a problem that exists in other movies. It's the just try harder problem, which you see a lot in Thor and Superman movies. It's just like, well, I'm totally defeated, but maybe if I just try like 10% harder, I can do it this time. And yes.
Oh, yeah. I feel like Green Lantern has a baked-in way for that to work that they just don't really execute well on with the willpower and everything.
I agree, and that totally, it does work for that, but they do it like 9 fucking times. And it's just like, all right, you wore it out already.
That, and he's gone back and forth on whether he's good at this, whether he's worthy or not, or, you know both of those things so many times this movie.
Dude, you're like the number one fucking fighter pilot that they want to just test against an AI machine. Like, what are you so worried about?
That's what I'm saying. I don't get it. Like, why is he afraid? Why is he insecure? He's doing all of this crazy shit throughout the whole movie, like this reckless-ass motherfucker. And then he's just like, I'm scared.
He takes Parallax into space, I guess. Like, Carol shoots some fucking missiles at Parallax, and then he flies into space.
It's 2, like, jet engines that go into this thing's mouth, and he flies through it, and this thing sucks itself through its own ass and then follows him into space.
It kind of does. It's like, I'll chase you through my own butthole. You underestimate me.
He's like, I'm going through your butt, Parallax, and so are you. And he's like, okay.
Parallax is like, me too.
Sure am.
And then, Martin Campbell's like, hey, did you ever see Empire Strikes Back? Did you ever see that scene with the asteroid field? I think we're going to do that here for like a hot second. Martin Campbell's just sitting there like, yeah, I read the Parallax storyline in the 90s. Yeah, he sacrifices himself to renew the light of the sun.
Oh, is that what happened?
Huh?
Get it?
Yeah, the sun was going to burn out and Parallax, but it was really Hal Jordan Parallax sacrificed himself to save the sun. And then Geoff Johns brought him back like 15 years later and they retconned it.
So their idea of interpreting that was just to have Hal Jordan punch Parallax into the sun?
Yeah, that's my guess.
Spoilers.
And maybe the only cool action sequence in this film, honestly.
I think cool.
I don't hate it.
I don't think cool is the word. I mean, semi-entertaining, maybe?
Sure. Executed well scene.
Hal gets fucked up a bunch. He gets like hit by a fucking asteroid. He's all cut up. Again, this is the thing with why I wanted to ask about the suit, because he's all scratched up. There's pieces missing and shit. He's bleeding and shit, and he's trying to get away from Parallax. And he remembers when what's his name? Polywhirl? What the fuck's his name? Kilowog. There was like a point in the training where he was like, "Look at that! That's the power of the sun. You the bigger things are, the quicker they get sucked into the sun or whatever.
That's where the line "gravity is a bitch" comes from.
It's literally there just so that you can have this payoff at the end of the film.
But yeah, he conjures up two fighter jets to kind of hold him away from being pulled into the sun, and then Parallax is attempting to kind of like swallow his soul and go all Evil Dead in him.
Oh yeah,
and it just kind of like he's being pulled back, so we can't quite reach him. And then Hal is like, "I'm just the best at this now," and like undoes the two jet plane constructs, and then just sucker punches Parallax in the face, who then falls backwards into the sun.
Oh yeah, he's like, "I'm a Green Lantern, bitch," and he fucking punches him.
Yeah,
it'd be better if he big booted him. I think I would have liked that better.
Just kicked him in the nose.
Yeah, just like a big fucking foot.
Tombstone pile drived him into the sun.
A giant green foot stomping on his face.
And so Hal like passes out from the this brief encounter, and just using all of his willpower. And then Sinestro, Kilowog, Tomar Ray, and like I think maybe one or two other Lanterns show up.
Nah, it's just them.
The only three that give a shit.
And Sinestro is kind of like, "Hey, not bad.
Not bad for a human." And then next fucking scene, Sinestro's like, "Oh, I thank Hal Jordan because I thought he was a big fucking pussy, but he killed the thing that I couldn't kill.
So I guess he's okay.
So I guess he's the best Green Lantern ever."
But also, I didn't even get close to the thing. I just watched all my recruits die.
This is also true. I didn't actually do battle with it, and Ardenson or whatever the fucking guy's name is in the beginning didn't even try to fight him again.
Yeah, Abin Sur got taken out like a chump, like 2 hits to the fucking body. He was dead.
Yeah, that's his name, Abin Sur. Yeah, he was just like, "Oh shit, yellow shit, I'm dead."
So Hal goes back to Earth. Everything's honky-dory. He's there with Carol.
He fucking conjures up a fucking green dill out of the ring, and they have a grand old time.
Jeez.
Yeah, sticks it in there under her skirt and just starts going away at her.
Oh my god.
The fucking green jackhammer.
And he says, for when I'm gone, keep this by your bedside. And he fucking flies towards the screen.
And then Jeffrey Rush is like... And then Hal Jordan became the greatest Green Lantern ever. Maybe we'll get a sequel. Bye. And the credits roll.
Here's a mid-credit scene where a tease for something that will never happen.
Yeah, that we were robbed of a better fucking film with Sinestro putting the yellow power ring on.
Oh, yeah.
And then just getting his Sinestro Corpse fucking uniform that doesn't make any sense, but okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, he gets the whole fucking shebang.
Yeah.
The whole uniform.
Yeah, symbol and everything, man.
Well, this was... That's basically... And that's the movie. It ends right there. That's the mid-credit sequence.
Yeah, that's it. It's credits.
So this film was supposed to be the entrance to the DC Cinematic Universe. This was supposed to be the step one.
Yeah.
But because the critical reception and the box office reception was so bad, they were like, "All right, fuck it, we're just gonna start over."
This is like Dark Universe shit with Wolfman and fucking Dracula 2000 or whatever the fuck it was.
Pass on that too, man.
It is embarrassing to watch like a bunch of people who are supposedly good at these jobs they all have watch another part of the industry just effortlessly pull off this idea of a shared universe, and nobody else gets it.
Because their eye is on the fucking money, right? And like, so is Disney, but they've mastered how to tell a good story and make a shit ton of money.
And they're patient.
Yes, if you don't piss off your fucking fans and you make a film that people can enjoy, that's all you have to do.
Like The Last Jedi.
Wow, Sean just really...
Shut up. Just rub the fucking salt in that wound. So what are we doing? We buying a ticket, torrenting it, or waiting for VOD?
I didn't see this when it came out in theaters. I don't know why. I apparently had some sixth senses to avoid it. Because I can't remember why I never went out and rushed to see it. It's probably because I wasn't really into DC at the time. But then years later, I actually attempted to watch this while we were doing Phantom Zone. I started it, and I got really fucking bored, and I turned it off. And I haven't gone back to it until today. I guess I would torrent this. Like, I don't want to pay money for this at all. This movie's boring and nonsensical and just stupid, and there's nothing special about it that makes it stand head and shoulders above any other film in the genre. Like, It feels like a 2000s era superhero film where there's lots of bad decisions being made. And when I say 2000s, I mean like 99, 2000, Daredevil, those kind of movies. It doesn't do anything special, and all the things that it does are really dumb. And it's too busy planting seeds for other stuff that we never got to see. It's miscast. It's all over the place. And it's just lots of silly nonsense. I didn't like this movie at all. So, yeah, torrent it. I don't want to throw money at this thing. Fuck this movie.
I would echo a lot of what Connor just said. I would torrent this movie. I have vague memories of watching bits and pieces of this. I realized watching this yesterday, I had never seen this from beginning to end all the way through. So there were a lot of surprises in here, and things that I just did not remember. This movie is just a lot of, it really is a 1,000 cuts type of situation where there's not one giant thing that bothered me, but it's a lot of small stuff that just adds up to this movie being meh. Just the definition of meh and just not interesting. When this movie surpasses the 10-year rule that we have at Phantom Zone, I'm just going to direct people to listen to this episode of this show because I will not be on because you can't get me to watch again.
Torrenting this shit for sure because I am a little different than I think you guys, because like I'm not a fan of this shit. Like I'm just not into Green Lantern, like I said before, or DC, so it's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, you know. They just, when DC shit comes out, I just kind of let it roll away or roll past me, and then maybe I'll watch it later, maybe. And in this case it's no different. But now after watching this, because I'd never seen this before either, so this was my first full watch of this, purely from a average moviegoer standpoint, it's just, I think the thing that it does that is the biggest crime here is that it's just boring. There's a lot, like whenever a story plot development starts to go, it just stops dead in its tracks, and we shift to something else that I could give a shit about. That's not even pertinent to what the fuck is going on. It all feels very shoehorned in. And again, like I said at the beginning of the episode, that it, you know, they're trying to take beats from multiple story arcs and fucking kind of just hodgepodge them together here. And like, if I can feel that as like just an average watcher, like that's a big fucking problem. Like and again, like if I was one of you guys, I'd probably be having a fucking heart attack with this shit. There are some funny parts, like Taika Waititi's funny. Ryan Reynolds has a couple throwaways that are pretty funny. Some of this stuff is cool when they're on Oa. I like the whole idea of Green Lantern and like the power of the will and conjuring up weapons and things, and that's your kind of superpower. Like I think that's neat, just in general. But like this movie could have been a lot better, and it's just like it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't really feel anything from it except tired. That's it. Like I just feel like I want to take a nap. Like this shit's boring as fuck. Yeah, torn it. Fuck this shit.
Let's I'd say finish the hat trick, but I think that's only 3. I'm gonna torrent this too, and you know what? It's on fucking YouTube for $4, and that's $4 I'd rather spend on like toilet paper to wash my ass after this fucking movie with. Listen, this isn't like the worst thing I ever saw. It's not Pluto Nash or House of the Dead.
No, it's not.
It's not Dark Forest either. But it's definitely like middle of the dumpster if this was an episode that if this was a regular episode. And this is me removed from Green Lantern quite a bit. You know, if this was me when it first came out, this would be bottom of the dumpster buried under the fucking center of the earth, kind of movie, to be honest. But I haven't been that big of a fan of this in years, and I'll say this, honestly, like, if I could take anything away from this film is that I got my fucking Green Lantern comics out of the crawl space, and I might fucking reread them. And, that I guess that's a positive. That's a plus.
Well, there you go.
Mark Strong is the biggest fucking sin of this film because he was legitimately great as Sinestro, and he's just never going to get that opportunity again. Ryan Reynolds is not the guy for this role. I know a lot of people at the time were pitching for Nathan Fillion. I think he would have been fucking perfect.
Ooh, that's good.
But we get Ryan Reynolds, who could not give two shits about this film. He met his fucking wife, and he made a joke about it in Deadpool 1 and 2. Blake Lively's just kind of there. Sarsgaard's good, but doesn't really get a lot of screen time. Yeah, exactly. And it's like the fucking Green Lantern Corps, the most important part of the whole movie besides Hal, is just like shat out.
Yep.
It's kind of insulting to me as a fan. Kilowog and Tomar Ray are like these legendary characters in this series, and they're just kind of treated as window dressing. And like I said just a moment ago, if I was just coming off of this after being super hyped into it like I was in the theater when I did buy a ticket in real life, way lower score for this one. But removed from all that, it's still a torrented film, but it is not a want to murder myself after watching kind of ordeal.
Agree on all counts.
Yes.
I mean, I want a fucking power ring just to create a noose in my goddamn studio closet and hang myself after this film, if I'm being quite honest. I'm trying to be a little bit more tepid here.
I could use that brandy now.
I just want to have one of those so I can make myself a drink right now.
Yeah. So at least on Wikipedia, which I believe is citing Box Office Mojo, $200 million budget, and looks like I'm assuming that's the worldwide box office was $219.
That's what I read. And opening weekend made $54 million. It's not like it didn't make money.
Yeah, but it's a $200 million movie.
And at least $50 million to $100 million in marketing and all that stuff. Jeez.
Yeah, it made its money back, but then made a minimal profit.
The movie made $19 million.
That's embarrassing.
There's a reason why Ryan Reynolds and everyone involved in this film just doesn't like to talk about it.
So, Arlen, do you want to? Where can listeners, get your stuff, you guys' podcasts and stuff?
Yeah. If you want to follow me just to know where everything that I do is at Space Columbo. I usually don't plug that stuff, but I'm here, so I might as well. And then Los Harrow Podcast is my other show that I do with Eric Sayor. I don't know if any of you really know him other than Connor, but it's our show where we talk about movies. We usually go for a theme or a director or something like that, and occasionally we do sort of recently watched by both of us sort of stuff also. So that's our show for my site that I kind of run at this point, which is losharrow.wordpress.com. So go there, give it a look at our other shows that we have, and yeah, that's I think that's all from me.
Okay, awesome, man. So that's it. That's Green Lantern from 2011, directed by Martin Campbell.
Hey, everybody, if you want some more bad movie goodness, you can check us out at MovieDumpsterPodcast.com.
Subscribe to us anywhere you get your podcasts, and make sure to leave us a 5-star review if you dig the show, because it helps us get out of the bottom of the dumpster and into more eardrums.
Yeah, and if you're on the social medias, you can follow us at Movie Dumpster on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Joel Escola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
I'm Connor McGraw.
I'm Arlen Harrow.
Thanks for visiting the dumpster.
Hal?
Miss.
Hal? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, Hal!
How did you know it was me?
What do you mean? I've known you my whole life. I've seen you naked. You don't think I would recognize you because I can't see your cheekbones? What is this? Why is your skin green? Why are you glowing? What the hell is with that mask?
Came with the outfit.